Good morning, hello and welcome to the Vitality Big Half Marathon. My name is Radzi and we come to you live from the heart of London. The weather, I have to say, is absolutely delightful here. In just under 5 minutes time, we'll see the first of our very athletes get underway. 15,000 runners in total will be pounding through the streets of London, going through 4 boroughs of Lewisham, of Greenwich, of Southwark and Tower Hamlets as well. To give you an idea of where we're at, just behind us here, hopefully you can see the gorgeous Shard looking absolutely delightful there. About 200 metres to the right of that there is London Tower Bridge, but they'll be finishing in Cutty Sark. But today is all about community. It's all about togetherness, and someone who'll be very much at the centre of that is Rachel Stringer. Rachel, how are you?
Well, I'm great, and we have no storm in the UK at the moment. It's sunny, it's kind of warm in the sun, which I'm absolutely loving.
And you're going to be spending a bit of time in the festival.
Yeah, I mean, the festival is going to be great. It's down at Greenwich Park, and it's got so much going on. Anyone is down there. It's got the big stage, which is showcasing up-and-coming music acts from the community. It's got the Big Mile event, which I'll be bringing more updates for a little bit later as well, so I'm excited for both of those.
So as well as that going on, we also have elite athletes. We can see some of them here.
We can see a few behind us lining up, getting ready. You've got David Weir. He won here last year, so we're looking to retain that title. And then Shelley Woods alongside him. Never won this event in the capital.
And in terms of the elite women, it's a bit of a British affair.
Yeah, for sure. 2 to watch, I'm going to say, is Lily Partridge and Steph Davis. Lily Partridge has not got the Olympic qualifying in the marathon yet, but Steph Davis has done. So I guess this is a bit of a warm-up event, and maybe whoever wins here will have, a bit more motivation going into London.
But when it comes to the men's event, I could not be more excited about this, because leading the field is none other than one of the greatest distance runners of all time, Kenenisa Bekele.
My training was going well, I'm prepared well. And I'm preparing, for the London Marathon mainly, but of course half is between before, but of course my training was going well. I was really confident after Berlin Marathon. I think it will be good motivation for the marathon, and also helping for speed, speed-wise for the marathon. Half marathon, of course, it's really important for my career, to achieve on this race also. All of us, coming to win and, to compete, 100% chance, to win that race. I know the race will be not easy race. There is big supporters here. People are sick for sports, I like, that atmosphere, and I'm very happy to be here, every time to run in London, I have many supporters here, and the people are, they want to see my performance on top, so it will be a great race again on Sunday.
It could be something special. Well, our wheelchair racers behind us here look ready and raring to go. And with that in mind, we'll hand to our commentary team now of Chris Dennis and the 1500-metre silver medalist from the 2011 Daegu Championships, Hannah England.
Radzi, good morning. Thanks very much indeed. Good morning, everybody. What a picture-perfect sky. Great to be with you. And we're looking for some big performances here in the big half. Hannah, alongside me, great to have you with us. Just pick out 1 or 2 of the big names for us in the wheelchair elite races.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Yeah, just as Rachel said, great to see David Weir here. He's so dominant on the road. It'd be great to see if he can hold off the challenge from the Canadian Brent Lakatos. And also Shelley Woods as well. It'd be fun to see her get that first kind of win and British title for half marathon.
Yes, back from having a baby last year, of course, Shelley Woods. Great to see her back in action. David Weir, of course, as we heard from Rachel, the champion here last year. Conditions absolutely perfect. And Hannah, in the women's elite race, well, 3 athletes there you know very well.
Yes, no, and I think it's going to be a really interesting opportunity for these women to kind of show their form ahead of the London Marathon. And we've got selections for the World Half on the line today, and I think that's going to be a big part of this domestic field.
Yeah, plenty at stake today. And in the men's race, we've already heard from Kenenisa Bekele, but 1 or 2 British athletes, Hannah, with interest here.
Yeah, absolutely. Similar to the women, they're really going to be looking to have a domestic battle here. It'd be great to see Darry Griffiths back to his best. He's a 2:9 marathoner at his best. And Chris Thompson has just been around so long, and he's so dependable. It'll be really great to see him run well today.
Sadly, we lost Lawrence Chirono over the weekend because of injury. But there is Shelley Woods. Great to see her back, a 2-time London Marathon champion, of course. Last of those, as you can see, back in 2012. And they're away. led by David Weir, right of picture in the black. He's in terrific form. Spoke to him a few weeks ago. He's, of course, a 6-time Paralympic gold medalist. Brent Lakatos as well, leading the way with the beard, who won in Berlin, actually, very impressively. So the men's wheelchair race up and running. A slight incline there, Hannah, barely perceptible, but quite a tough little introduction to this race.
I think it will be for the wheelchair riders here. I think overall a fairly flat course will suit these guys and these conditions as well. We should see some fast times.
Well, if you're with us 12 months ago, you'll remember that it was very blustery and very, very rainy, so we're really thankful for excellent conditions here today. David Weir, of course, who's also preparing for the London Marathon at the end of April. It's exactly 8 weeks to go today, and he will be looking for a 9th title here. Brent Lakatos, though, worth a word about him, married to Steph Reed, of course, an 11-time World Championship gold medalist. Who do you think will provide the stiffest test for Dave Weir today?
I think it will be Brent Lakatos, and he's been training in Tenerife. So,
Yep.
yeah, it'd be nice to see how his training's gone there and whether he can show that on the road here. I'm not sure, I think it's pretty hilly there, so maybe not very comparable to today, but yeah, I think it'll definitely give David Weir a good competition. Also
should mention that John Boy Smith is in the field today, part of the Weir Archer Academy. And a little bit of a gap already opening up between these leading 4. Brent Lakatos leading the way from David Weir, just tucking in there as they head towards the Limehouse Tunnel. We'll keep you up to date with all the landmarks. There's a lot of famous landmarks on this course. So Brent Lakatos just leading them at Indian file. David Weir tucking in behind, and then we have a little bit of a gap to the other athletes behind. Yeah, it just really looks like they're setting their stall out here and going at a decent clip, and we should be able to get an idea of their pace as we go through the race, but these guys can tend to go pretty hard from the start. Course record, incidentally, set by David Weir, 51.12 last year when he won. So the wheelchair men underway and getting nicely warmed. Let's just remind ourselves of the course. For those of you familiar with the London Marathon course, it's much of the course, but in backwards, in reverse. There you can see heading out towards Docklands, Canary Wharf, and all the financial institutions there, one of the most important sectors. There are over 100,000 people who work there. Back down Narrows Street with all the pubs and the historic areas there, and then eventually through Wapping, close to the former headquarters of The Sun and Times newspapers, over Tower Bridge, from north back to south into Bermondsey, along through towards Surrey Quays, twisting and following the River Thames, past Surrey Quays, into Deptford and into the last mile or so, and then a sharp left-hand turn, and there the iconic Cutty Sark looms into vision. So the wheelchair race is well underway, and here we are with the elite men and women. Hayley Carruthers being introduced to the crowd. The Birchfield Harrier finished 4th last year. Sadly most famous, I guess, for stumbling over the line dramatically in the London Marathon last year, but thankfully she's recovered. Steph Davis, very much the new kid on the block, I think, 29 years old. Has already got the qualifying time for the Olympic Marathon. And Lily Partridge, well, terrific. Champion in 2018. She was 2nd in this race in 2018 as well, when it was run for the first time 2 years ago. Dowie Griffiths, the Welsh #1, back from illness and injury, had a torrid last couple of years, so it's terrific to see him back on the start line, and we wish him well. Marius Kipsarham from Kenya, who's a 2-time Rotterdam champion, also won the inaugural Abu Dhabi Marathon a couple of years ago. He will probably, on paper, provide the stiffest opposition to this man, who scarcely needs an introduction. Probably, almost probably, the greatest track athlete of all time, Kenenisa Bekele. Still the world record holder over 5,000 and 10,000, and of course the 2nd fastest marathon runner in history, just 2 seconds behind Eliud Kipchoge, that wonderful run in Berlin last September. So coiled springs waiting to be unleashed on the streets of London. Watches ready, And we are away. The third running of the big half in beautiful conditions is underway in 2020. 15,000 runners, each with their own individual goals, personal best to try and break, many people running for the very first time, club runners of course, British Championship places up for grabs, also Olympic qualification. So Hannah, plenty of stories within the main story.
There are lots of stories today, and I just want to say it is so great to see such a strong domestic field assembled here. It's been really, really competitive in the men's and the women's, and just really excited to see how these guys can do on a beautiful morning as well. I think there could be some fast times up for grabs, and to see someone like Beckley running around our capital city is just always a pleasure.
Yeah, I spoke to him on Friday. He was delighted, genuinely delighted to be back. Despite the weather, when we spoke on Friday, it was hosing down outside. He'd just flown in from rather different climes in from Addis Ababa, but he loves racing here. He'll be back, as I say, in the capital in 8 weeks' time, going head-to-head against Eliud Kipchoge, and it's always a joy to have such an iconic runner running in our capital city here. Chris Thompson, a man you know well.
Yeah, some people would say Chris Thompson's a bit iconic. There you go. He's been around a long time, and this is what I love about Chris. He's obviously come here feeling in good shape and doesn't want to mess around. And if he knows the kind of pace he wants to try and show over a half marathon, he's perhaps not going to sit in the group and let that go. And Chris is particularly good at setting his stall out like this, and it often gives him the advantage over some of the other British runners. And he might be trying to get a jump on some of the British field here.
Yes, and he's started out very breezily here. Chris Thompson now 38 years old, probably one of Britain's most enduring athletes. I mean, he's had a terrific career. Obviously was in the shadow of Mo Farah on the track in the early days. We think back to those European Championships, back in 2010, 10 years ago now. For the last couple of years, you know, when Chris Thompson is injury-free, and that's not often, he's still very talented.
No, that's incredibly true, and that really is the point. When he's not injured and when he's had a good string of training, he is absolutely not unstoppable, but he looks unstoppable right now, doesn't he? And yeah, I admire the aggressiveness he shows when he races.
Well, he had a good year last year. He won the Bristol 10K. Also won the Great South Run over 10 miles back in October 2018. And behind them, well, as we say, this is all about community today. There are plenty of races on the streets of London, but this one is all about introducing new runners to running, maybe people who haven't run before, people looking to improve their times, test themselves over perhaps a longer distance. We've got the little half, we've got the big mile later on, and as we were hearing from Rachel, the festival in Greenwich Park, which sadly last year had to be cancelled due to the weather, but this year will be going ahead. So plenty of entertainment to get your teeth stuck into over the next few hours.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see just the strength and depth here, and I think it's fantastic. You can have company if you're a female here. Look at this Harrison here. She's going to have great support from the club runners around her, and it's an opportunity to run really fast and set down a PB. And I love the fact that you've got the runners of all ability all running the same course, and they all compare each other.
Yeah, that's all very different to your career as a track athlete, of course, where it was elite against elite, and this sort of event is a very different thing. You've got obviously very talented. I mean, to be out here running today in beautiful sunshine, I nearly said warm sunshine, but it will be warming up little by little as we go through the morning. But to be actually in the same race as the greatest track athlete of all time in Kenenisa Bekele must be a real thrill. It
must, yeah, I think it will be. And I think a lot of these runners today will have looked at the weather all week and been incredibly relieved that this is what they woke up to this morning. This will not have been the training conditions these group of athletes have gone through in the last month. So to get the chance to come out and finally get a sunny day and that be the day you're doing your race, is going to be good fun for them.
Just to mark your card as well, we mentioned several stories within stories. So on the women's side, we have 4 women who've run the Olympic qualifying time for the marathon. That's 2:29:30, and one of the 2 of them are in this race today. And we are approaching 5 minutes into the race. And on the men's side, of course, in terms of Olympic qualification, Callum Hawkins has already been pre-selected for that race in Tokyo. And so it's a question of who's going to try and grab one of the 2 other places. And Chris Thompson, of course. Andy Vernon, we should mention as well, is also in the field today. Dowie Griffiths we saw at the start. Derek Hawkins, Callum's brother, is also in the race today.
Yes, I think there's a lot of guys that will fancy their chances of getting one of those spots in one of those 2 remaining spots in Tokyo. But we've got Johnny Mellor, who actually ran a 2:10 marathon last week in Seville, again getting under that Olympic qualifying mark. He chose to go and do it in a different race, not the trial race, but he's really thrown his name in the mix as well.
As you can see, just entering the Limehouse link, it's the 2nd largest non-estuarial road tunnel in the UK. And as you can see, nice welcome little decline as they make their way towards Canary Wharf and the financial district of London. And Chris Thompson is really taking these early few kilometres off very, very aggressively indeed. Kenenisa Bekele just in the middle of that shot of the chasing pack. But Chris Thompson, were you expecting this?
I'm not too surprised. Like I said before, Chris doesn't really like to mess around. You know, maybe he's got an eye on this will be a good indicator for him on how his training's going, and if he believes he's in PB shape and it's good weather and it's a good course, he's going to have a go at it. And it's interesting to see the likes of Nick Gulab sort of waking up a bit and realising Chris is serious. I don't want him getting too far ahead.
Well, that PB was 61 minutes exactly, set at the Great North Run back in 2012. And of course, Kenenisa Bekele, his only other half marathon, in fact, was at the Great North Run as well, against Mo Farah and Haile Gebrselassie. That was in 2013. Probably one of the most thrilling finishes down on the south coast there, on the south-east coast of all time, when Kenenisa just managed to hold on against Mo Farah, who came back very, very strongly. So he will have fond memories, I'm sure, of racing the half marathon.
So yes, this is our women's leader, I think. I want to say Natalie Harrison. I've got to apologise. I'm pretty sure her name starts with N, but yeah, she has been running very, very well.
Samantha Harrison, I think.
Samantha Harrison. Apologies for that. No, I knew. Yeah, so we've only got her down on a sort of club start, but she has got a PB of 71:43 for the Great North Run, and she clearly feels pretty good today. And I'd probably say similar to Chris, she's just gone, I know what pace I can run today. I'm just going to get out there and do it. And you can see she's got great support round from the male club runners, and exciting to see if she can hold on to this.
Yeah, she's going well. She's an athlete with Knots AC. And of course, many of you watching will be recognising your club vest. We've got Morpeth, of course, one of the great clubs from the northeast. And there's Kenenisa Bekele with that trademark, slightly buccaneering, rolling action, but a really economical style. And Kenenisa Bekele, well, where should we start with him? I mean, he actually, one of the changes he's made in recent years, he did a lot of his training until last year on his own. He preferred to train on his own. He's got his own track, with his own money, built an all-weather track just outside Addis Ababa, where people like Mo Farah have trained on occasion. But now he's with Haji, isn't he, one of the foremost Ethiopian athletes. And actually that change, I think, did him the power of good. And I remember him saying after that performance in Berlin last year that actually joining a group really helped him.
Yeah, but you've got to mix things up. If you've been running as many years as him, you know, something that worked for him 10 years ago might not be the right thing for him right now. And there were certain whisperings and accusations from some of his support staff that he wasn't taking his training as seriously as he should be, and that never came from him. I don't think he felt that he'd backed off, but I really wonder how much of that 2:01:41 that he did in Berlin was kind of a big, like, well, you know, I am still here, I am still a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, I'm sure he would have been disappointed to just miss out on that world record, but it really put a marker down as we move into this Olympic year. Very
much so, yes. A lot of people had, as you say, written him off. Kenenisa's finished. It's a point I actually put to him when I spoke to him on Friday, and he said I can understand why people would think that, because he had a bit like Chris Thompson, really, who's there left of picture, lots of injuries over the years, but when he's fit and firing on all cylinders, he is still a very, very dangerous, hugely talented athlete. And I think Kenenisa Bekele really surprised a lot of people, and to a certain extent himself. That run in Berlin last year was truly exceptional. Just to his right there, incidentally, number 253, Omar Ahmed from Birchville Harriers. So he's a 62-minute half marathon runner. So he's rubbing shoulders with half marathon and track royalty here, just coming out of the Limehouse link.
Yes, he's been doing very well in a lot of road races, particularly in the Birmingham area and some of the great run events. It's interesting to see him having a go. And I think, again, I just said it, but when you wake up with conditions like this and you feel like you're in the shape of your life, then hey, what an opportunity.
Just having to work a little bit harder as they come out of the Limehouse link. They're going to make their way into Canary Wharf. There we are. There is Samantha Harrison, 25 years old, 71:43. Her half marathon best. So no sign so far. We assume that Lily Partridge is in that group behind.
Yeah, and I think I saw Lily in the background, but Samantha's just sort of got stuck in here. And like you said, she's fairly new to this level of running. She started running in 2018. That's sort of what, what people would, what she'd sort of say. And over the last few years, she's gone 81 minutes, 76 minutes, 74, 73. She's chipping away. It's going to be interesting to see if she's got a bit more in there today.
So perhaps a new name to look out for here. We should say that the likes of Charlotte Purdue, Charlie Purdue, who's Britain's #1 marathon runner. She's been competing in Japan recently. She was the winner here last year. She's going to stay out in Australia, isn't she, with her coach Nick Biddle, getting ready for the London Marathon in 8 weeks' time. Yeah,
so she ran a very good half marathon in Japan recently, but yeah, it's looking at her build-up. She felt it wasn't right to incorporate a race like that.
4th and 5th places in the men's race, and we have Ross Millington there, left of picture with the shades.
Yes, and the other guy we've got there is Jake Smith, who's an interesting one for me. He's only 21. You don't usually necessarily see sort of Europeans achieving much at 21 on the roads, but he's actually the under-23 British record holder for the half marathon at a time that he ran 62:02 to take Callum Hawkins' British record, and he's gone on to run quite well.
That's impressive, isn't it? And as you say, all of that at the age of 21.
Yes, and if he was to run a PB today, that could be a new British under-23 record.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. We're just going past Billingsgate Fish Market, for those of you who like your historical landmarks. So a lot of this course will be familiar to people who've run the London Marathon, and much of this course, of course, is run in reverse from the race that we'll have on the 26th of April. Just coming out of the tunnel, Sam Harrison looking pretty sprightly, and of course we've got a lot of decent club runners for company.
Yes, I think she'll be quite well supported by these men round her, and it's often you never know what you're going to get here. You sometimes get men getting a bit annoyed that there's a woman keeping up with them, and sometimes they can be very supportive, so I hope she gets the latter today.
Well, this group of 3 at the head of the men's field. We've got Chris Thompson, of course, just leaning into that hill as they come round into Canary Wharf, and Kenenisa Bekele, who'll just pick off these early kilometres for fun. If you were expecting to see Mo Farah taking part in this race and you hadn't heard, he was sadly forced to withdraw a couple of weeks ago or so with a minor Achilles problem, so he is just taking precautions there. He's, of course, planning to return to the track for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, back to the 10,000 metres. And just on the theme, Hannah, of Tokyo, Kenenisa Bekele, who actually had said that he wasn't planning to take any part in the Olympic Games this year, told me on Friday that he's very much got his name forward for selection for the Ethiopian team in the marathon in Tokyo.
Oh, brilliant. That's what we want to hear. And I wonder how much of that performance in Berlin contributed to that decision. And you've got to see how you recover from something like that as well. You've got to have that confidence that you can recover and go again and get ready for another summer marathon. And it's really exciting to see that he does want to be there and try and pick up another Olympic medal, perhaps.
Yeah, the confidence that he will take from that performance in Berlin. And I was fortunate enough to be in Berlin that day covering the race, and at one point, from memory, he was almost 90 seconds outside Eliud Kipchoge's world record pace, and he wasn't even leading the race. He actually slipped a second, had a bit of a stitch, and got himself back, and he finished like a train. He really did put the gas down in the last 10 kilometres. And as we saw coming through the Brandenburg Gate, he was literally on course for world record pace and just shy of Eliud Kipchoge's world record by 2 seconds. And that showdown, as it's being billed in London, back here in London at the end of April, Bekele against Eliud Kipchoge, the 2 fastest marathon runners of all time, going head to head. That could be something rather special.
That could truly be incredibly special. And he ran that Berlin race was just 2 weeks before the Ineos Challenge, and I wonder how much they were watching each other there.
Go down to your left so we can see them.
So here we can see the group of the second women that are behind Sam Harrison. We can pick out Hayley Carruthers, Lily Partridge, Steph Davis. Is it just those two? Another couple at the back there. So this looks like the main group of women here chasing down Sam Davis, or maybe trying to Sam Harrison, and trying to keep in contact there.
Yeah. Hayley Carruthers, we mentioned, who really came to the nation's attention with that dramatic crawl over the line. It really was quite heartrending. I was on the course at the London Marathon last year, and she just literally crawled on all fours over the line, and has thankfully recovered from there. She's 26 years old. She was 4th in this race last year, wearing the arm sleeves. And then Steph Davis, who's an interesting story, isn't she? Steph Davis just tucked in there behind the athlete in the orange there, the tall gentleman there. There she is, just coming into view. 29 years old, and we described her at the top of the programme as very much the new kid on the block. She admitted when we spoke to her a few weeks ago that she'd never even met the likes of Steph Twell and Charlie Purdue. She's come through a very different route.
No, it's interesting. A lot of our top female marathoners have raced against each other since they were children. You know, we're talking sort of 10 or 11, and they're very, very familiar with each other. And it must be quite interesting to drop into that group and not have the same history as the others. But obviously, it hasn't held her back. Running 2:27:40 is a massively respectable time, and yeah, I just think she's thrown a cat among the pigeons, really.
She works in the city, so she's got a proper job, a full-time job. She's still without a sponsor. Runs for Clapham Chasers down in South London. Originally from Scotland, from Glasgow, and just joined a running club. Ran through university really for fun, just to keep fit and active. And she's a big park runner as well. And as you say, that 2:27:40. Comfortably inside the Olympic qualifying mark, so she is a very serious contender for a place in the Olympic Games in Tokyo.
Absolutely. Back to the lead of the men's race here, and you can see Chris Thompson is really trying to sit with, oh, that looks like a tight bend there. Chris Thompson really trying to stick on Beckley there.
Yeah, very much so. Just lost his balance there, but Chris Thompson really showing terrific early form here. He looks, if you look at the facial expression there, a man who means business here. And what a thrill it must be for him, regardless of what happens in the rest of this race, to be going toe-to-toe, just the two of them, with the great Kenenisa Bekele.
Yeah. No, it's great to see Chris Thompson sticking on this, and we were wondering whether we get to see many of the Brits here with a dominant performance at the front, and it's brilliant to see Chris in the mix here.
So good vocal support on the streets, Canary Wharf Tube Station. Just gone past, and this is still Samantha Harrison, still looking good. She's broken clear of that group of male runners that she was running with. What we don't know at the moment, we're just trying to find out what sort of lead she has, and we've seen the likes of Lily Partridge and Steph Davis and Heli Carruthers in that chasing pack. But so far, and we look at shoulders, don't we, at this stage, when we've got the head-on shot, Hannah, we're looking for how relaxed the shoulders are on the face. What are you seeing here?
I think she looks good. I think she looks like it's a pretty comfortable, normal pace for her. You know, normal stride, looks pretty comfortable, and it's early days. She's got to try and keep this up for close to another hour, which is just, I love that element of racing over this distance, and you've got to pace yourself and you've got to measure your effort correctly. But to me, she looks great so far.
Last year we had Steph Twell, of course, and Charlie Purdue, who eventually came through to win. The course record in the women's race was set by Charlotte Purdue 2 years ago. That's 70:29. So that would be the target here for Samantha Harrison.
No, and right now she will be a target for those other female runners as well. I mean, from just counting in my head, I think she's got about 8 or 10 seconds over the other women in this race, but they have got the advantage of being in a big group. And Samantha Harrison at the moment, she is running a little bit solo, but she might be used to that in training. She might be fine. She doesn't look stressed about it to me.
Just twisting and turning, as you can see, their way through Canary Wharf, Cabot Square. They've just gone past. Over 100,000 people work every day in this part of London, headquarters to many of the financial institutions and big banks, and they will pick their way through this area. But Samantha Harrison still looking very good. Prize money, incidentally, on offer today, quite generous for the British athletes. $4,000 for the winner. There are prize bonuses, time bonuses as well.
And back to the men's race, just coming down this hill. That's interesting to see the mile splits here. We can see that they set off really quite aggressively there, and they have settled down a little bit, but they're probably still operating at around 62-minute pace, do you reckon?
Yep, absolutely. They set off pretty quickly there with 4:24. Well, record pace is around 4:30, so that was pretty quick, that opening mile.
Yeah, like we mentioned, with Chris Thompson with a PB of 61 dead, he's operating right in PB shape, and yeah, maybe you think really fancies having a go at that today. But he's pretty notorious for going off aggressively, Chris, and I can see him holding on to a good time today from what it looks like so far.
Well, no sign at the moment of Marius Kipsarem, the Kenyan who was really given more prominence, I suppose, after the withdrawal of Lawrence Chirono. It's a real shame for Lawrence Chirono, who was really selected, I guess, to replace Mo Farah when he had to pull out a couple of weeks ago. And Chirono, of course, the in-form marathon runner, having won his last 3 marathons in Chicago brilliantly, and then Boston. He'll be defending his title in Boston in a few weeks' time, and then Amsterdam as well. He's very much the in-form athlete, so just a precaution. I think he felt a bit of a hamstring, I think, on Saturday morning when he went for his morning jog.
No, it shows him got to protect his body if he's got those marathons coming up. But you would have predicted we might have had one of those. We get an awful lot of Ethiopia versus Kenya. They've got a massive distance running tradition, and it's great to see those two nations battling out. But I'd rather see Ethiopia versus Britain, and that's what we're getting treated to now.
Chris Thompson, of course, married to Gemma Simpson, who you know well from your days. Absolutely. In 1500 metre running. That was a very strong era. I was looking back at your terrific run in Daegu just last night, just to remind myself, and they were healthy days for 1500 metre running, weren't they, for our country?
Oh, absolutely. No, we've got a great tradition of middle distance running on the female side and the male side as well, and it obviously. But you know, it's great to see. It's great to see just British running in general is just doing fantastic at the minute, and it's so exciting in an Olympic year.
Chris Thompson, who's a 4 times London Marathon athlete, and of course, in terms of his track pedigree,
It'd be great to see Chris make another Olympic team. He went to 2012, but he struggled a lot with injury. He was obviously delighted to compete in a home games, but not be able to give perhaps the best representation of himself for struggling with injury. So just to see him still out here fighting to make another Olympic team is really inspiration.
Wait.
Well, here's the chasing pack in the women's race, and again we can still see Steph Davis there, left of picture in the white top. Lily Partridge is in there as well. Hayley Carruthers, all chasing down Samantha Harrison, who's we think about what 8 or 9 seconds ahead.
Yeah, they've got a really strong group here, and if there is any wind out there that could be making this job harder for the ladies to catch Sam Harrison, they won't be having to deal with it. They're really very well sheltered and protected in this group of men.
Lily Partridge, incidentally, is the one wearing the white headband. Back to the men's wheelchair race. And we've got Brent Lakatos still leading the way with David Weir. David Weir in 2nd place. So it's as we were there. Sidbury in 3rd place. Danny Sidbury from Great Britain as well. Just from a technical point of view, Hannah, just zoom in on Kenenisa Bekele. What is most impressive about his running style?
It's just so economic, and it always has been. To me, there's not much difference from his track running style to his road running style. People talk about how you might need a different technique, but he just looks so smooth, and it's the cadence as well, when you can just clip your legs over like that. It looks unstoppable, doesn't it? And don't get me wrong, Chris has a good running style as well, but you can really tell the miles that have gone into both of these guys to help them run like this.
Well, they're back on the highway, which is where they started the race, about 23 minutes ago. And they're heading now towards Wapping.
No, you can see a bit of a glance behind from Chris there. Sometimes people say that's a sign of weakness. I don't think that didn't look like a sign of weakness today. I think he's just assessing what's going on around him and kind of trying to see whether he really is as clear in second as he feels. And they really have gapped the rest of the field here. I can't really see the people behind them getting anywhere near these two today.
And if you're Kenenisa Bekele, you know that, with all due respect to Chris Thompson, your track record speaks for itself. Does he just use Chris perhaps as a little bit of company for the majority of the race and then just move away in the latter stages in terms of his preparation for London in 8 weeks' time?
Yeah, besides that is what you would anticipate on paper, but I'm pretty sure Chris is a ferocious competitor, and you generally never know what happens. I mean, Bekele could have had a bit of food poisoning, could have had a bit of cold, could be carrying a little strain. You know, and anything could happen, and that is the beauty of racing. They've got to race it today, but as you say, you would expect the Ethiopian to pull away from Chris here.
And unlike Bekele, Chris Thompson hasn't flown in from a different continent in the last couple of days, so we'll keep an eye on the men's race. But Steph Davis, back to her. As I say, 29 years old, 72.58, her personal best in the half marathon. she's saying a few weeks ago that she'd ideally like to turn semi-professional, so she's a complete amateur at the moment, and she lined up in the London Marathon last year with the elite for the first time, and what a story that would be if she were able to clinch a place for Tokyo at the Olympic Games this summer.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a thousand different ways to prepare for athletics, but to do it alongside a full-time job, I think is particularly admirable. And Hayley Carruthers works as NHS radiographer as well, and we've got Eleanor Wynnham Davis towards the back as well. We think she's a full-time doctor, or at least a part-time doctor, and that's really impressive to balance those elements all together.
And she'll be a very busy NHS doctor at the moment for reasons I'm sure we don't need to mention. Yes,
yes.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, that they are able to combine these two careers. Lily Partridge has been training, as she does often at this time of the year, down in the south of Spain, hasn't she, and been going well?
No, Mercy is a tremendous region. Callum Hawkins has used it a lot, and we've got Ben Connor, Lily's boyfriend, who's not racing today, but he's been doing his preparations for London Marathon down there. It's I've been myself twice, and I can say it is a great place. Genuinely very similar weather to we get today. Cold and bright. I think this would be what Lily's been experiencing for the last month or so. Yeah, she's been posting quite a few very enviable pictures of very warm weather over the last few weeks. Yeah, absolutely.
Aldershot, Farnham District, of course, along with the likes of Steph Twell. So looking good. These three just clicking off these early kilometres, but they are second, third and fourth respectively, with Sam Harrison still out in front.
And we've got number 301 there. Dan Robinson is, I think he actually coaches. He's Hayley's coach, so he's keeping an extra close eye on his athlete today, but he's also a very competitive runner himself, so let's see what he can manage today for himself. I
don't know if you saw, but they made a film together, didn't they? They've got quite a lot of good views of what she went through after that dramatic finish in London last year, and after she finished in the London Marathon, she went back, as you say, to her full-time job the very next day as a radiographer. Business as usual. Ken and Issa just picking up some drinks there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Chris not bother with a drink there. He must he really has attacked past that drink station and taken the shorter line, and he really is making Beckley work for this, isn't he?
This is an aggressive performance. They've gone through 5 miles, and they're just working their way now towards Tower Bridge, the famous Tower Bridge, of course, which will take them from the north of the river to the south. But Chris Thompson, yeah, looks as though he's got the bit between his teeth, and really looks as though he's serious about this big half today.
That's an interesting perspective with the drink as well. You know, some people would say, I don't need a drink in a half marathon. It's not hot. It's oh, here we go towards the end of the men's wheelchair race here.
Well, Brent Lakatos there has put in a bit of a spurt here, the Canadian. And in second place there, Danny Sidbury in the red, and David Weir in third place. Course record held by David Weir, 51.12. We'll keep you up to date with the men's wheelchair race as they approach the finish line. But Chris Thompson on the cobbles through Wapping, turning on the gas.
He is, isn't he? He's really having a go here, Chris, and he must just feel good, and why not? And let's see Ken and Issa Bekele try and get back on terms with him here. I'm not sure he would have expected a burst. That he probably sort of settled down and thought they were just out for a run together, and Chris Thompson's got other ideas, and Chris Thompson's just a die-hard competitor, isn't he?
He never knows when he's beaten, and just to remind you, Chris Thompson, 38 years old now. And it's just so good to see him injury-free.
It is. A 10K in around 28:30. That's quick, isn't it?
It is quick.
This is where the strength of the marathon training could come through for these two. If you'd like to see them be able to hold on to a really fast pace and not sort of falter in the latter half.
In last year's race, we saw Mo Farah actually several times drop off the pace, and quite considerably, far more in fact than the gap between these two here, and then put in a few surges just to test the opposition, and eventually came through in a pretty much trademark Mo Farah sprint finish to make it 2 wins out of 2.
Yeah. It looks to me like Bekele is getting his head down, and he's working on closing that gap kind of slowly. The cobbles are tricky as well. It could just be to negotiate these cobbles and then get back on terms with Chris Thompson.
So into the second half of this race, 21 kilometres, of course, and Chris Thompson continues to look good here with the still double world record holder over 5,000 and 10,000 metres. We always say, for many people, or probable best track athlete of all time. Where is he for you? Is he the very best?
He was so dominant when he was winning those Olympic titles, and he was a joy to watch. So yeah, I'd say he's up there.
Back to the women's race, and for me that gap is closing. Samantha Harrison still leading the well, still looking pretty comfortable, but I think the chasing three of Carruthers, Davis and Partridge are starting just to reel her in here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Sam Harrison getting a bit of help here. She got the perfect male club runner right now. That would really support her. I kind of feel sorry for her that she's been out on her own a little bit.
Incidentally, we have a new world record in the women's half marathon set just a week or so ago at the RAC half marathon, as often is the case. Ababel Yeshine came through in 64:31. That was 20 seconds off the previous world record. So that's the benchmark, if you like, in world terms. Of course, it's the world lead as well. The course record on this big half course, 70:29, as I mentioned, set by Charlotte Purdue 2 years ago.
Just trying to count back to the... Oh, here we go. Is this some more of the wheelchair riders coming in?
Yep, Simon Lawson coming through. Again, he's a previous winner of the Great North Run. Shelley Woods leading the women's, looking as though she's blowing hard. Of course, coming back from having a baby in any sport is a real challenge, and all credit to Shelley Woods for trying to get back to the very, very best of her sport after giving birth to her baby Leo last year.
Absolutely. And here we are back to the lead of the men's race, and as predicted, Kenenisa Bekele has got himself back up to Chris Thompson, and they can perhaps share that workload at the front. And this will be interesting now, the psyche of Chris Thompson, when you make a move like that and he still comes back. So here we go, for 4:37 pace. Again, they really are operating close to 1 hour dead for this half marathon, which there might be some people watching that have tried a half marathon themselves that think an hour for a half marathon is superhuman, and yeah, getting to see these guys do it today.
Absolutely, yeah, we could be in for a course record. Mo Farah holds the course record here, 61:40. So we'll keep an eye on that. Real quality. And actually, we've got the best of both worlds here, haven't we? We've got British interest very much in the form of Chris Thompson. And then, of course, as expected, Kenenisa Bekele, one of the best, if not the best over the track, leading the way. So a terrific head-to-head here.
No, you know, whatever happens over this next half an hour or so, for me, to see Chris Thompson this aggressive at this pace, throwing moves down on Olympic champion, it's just great for me, and really look forward to seeing what he can do in 2 months' time at the London Marathon.
The second and third places in the women's wheelchair race, chasing Shelley Woods, who was leading as we saw. Mel Nichols in second place, who represented Great Britain at the Paralympic Games, and Eden Rainbow Cooper in third place. So second and third in the women's wheelchair. Quite a gap behind Shelley Woods.
This is quite an age gap here. We've got Mel Nichols at 42 with all her experience, and Eden Rainbow Cooper at 18. And it must be really fun for Eden to learn off someone of that age and toe the line with her.
Just about to cross Tower Bridge, as we see. So back to the women's race. Over half an hour of running, approaching halfway for the women. And Samantha Harrison still going well, the Knots AC runner.
And I think you're right, Chris. I think that gap is a tiny bit smaller, but not, you know, it's, and here we go. Kenenisa Bekele really stretching out across Tower Bridge, and perhaps Chris woke him up a bit with that move past the drink station a few miles ago, and he really wants to stamp his authority on this race and find out how much he's got in his legs ahead of his next marathon.
Well, of course, in 8 weeks' time, he will be crossing this very same bridge, this iconic Tower Bridge, but in the other direction. And there he is, just reeling in one or two of the wheelchair athletes as well. And it feels as though the handbrakes come off. He's nicely lubricated and warm. Everything's feeling good. Chris Thompson was very aggressive, and now there is a definite gap opening up there. And I think it's a gap that's widening and widening. And barring any major problems, Hannah, from here, you feel as though it's really how fast and how quickly Kenenisa Bekele wants to go from here. Absolutely,
I think, and Chris has probably done him a favour here, giving him a race in that first half and set him up really nicely for a fast time here. And yeah, perhaps he has got half an eye on that course record, and just sort of setting a bit of a warning to his competitors.
Well, the confidence, we keep repeating this, but it's worth bearing in mind that many people had written off Kenenisa Bekele. His record in the full marathon, for all his achievements on the track, doesn't make particularly good reading. He's won only 3 of 9 marathons. He's had a couple of DNFs. He had a DNS, so he didn't start a race in Dubai a few years ago. And so, for many people who thought he would just make the transition effortlessly from the track to the road, you know, that isn't a foregone conclusion, is it? It's not as easy as people think.
Absolutely not. People just go, you get older, you move up distances, you'll be fine. And perhaps we could even say the same for Mo Farah. You know, it made him look a bit more human. You know, and the way he could run away from people on the track that hasn't transferred in the marathon yet for him, and you can see why he would make that decision to have another go at the track this year. And perhaps we'll see him try the marathon again after this track campaign this summer. But it's certainly not a foregone conclusion that track form equals road form.
No, absolutely not. Bekele just looking at his watch on several occasions there. I think he feels as though this is a day, the conditions are good, there's very little wind. It's bright, it's sunny, there's no rain, it's nice and dry underfoot, and now he's just imagining that he's in the hills in Toto above Addis Ababa at altitude, where he's been doing a lot of his training, those wonderful trails. For some of you watching who may have heard of the conditions around Addis, are absolutely perfect. So Kenenisa Bekele has broken free from Chris Thompson. The question is, in the women's race, can Sam Harrison break free again from the chasing pack?
I saw a few nervous looks back from her, and it must be it's kind of nerve-wracking be out on the front, that, and then she must be wondering, every one of these male runners that comes on her shoulder, no, is that one of the females, are they back to me yet? And that can be stressful, and I hope she can stay relaxed, and whatever happens, if the women catch her, let's hope she can join them and just really sort of push on for a PB.
Yes, that can be demoralising, can't it, when you don't know what's behind you, and as you mentioned earlier on, it's a sign of weakness, of looking behind. We haven't seen, in fairness, Samantha Harrison look behind once yet, but she must feel, she can hear certainly the pitter-patter of running shoes behind her. And what she doesn't know at this stage is whose running shoes they are. But we can see, even allowing for the foreshortening of that head-on shot, we can see that the 3 chasing female runners are getting perhaps closer and closer.
Yeah, I think it's more like 7 seconds or so now, where it was maybe 10 seconds a few miles ago. But yeah, so she's still maintaining that gap. She's definitely not really hitting the wall or anything like that. You can see Lily Partridge and Steph Davis there, and we've got Hayley Carruthers still in the shot as well.
Yeah, Lily Partridge just starting to open up a little bit of a gap over Steph Davis, and then maybe, 4 or 5 metres behind, we have Hayley Carruthers. So those 3 just starting to splinter there. And again, just looking at, just slightly obscured at the moment, but Lily Partridge looking pretty comfortable and looking very nice and relaxed.
No, she is, and you talked about that running style of Kenenisa Bekele, and yeah, Lily looks pretty good there. She looks like she's been putting the miles in, and she's got a great economy that you look for in a marathon runner, and I think she'll be having fun trying out these roads today.
Just a fashion detail, is the headband a new addition? I've not seen her wear a headband many times before.
No, I haven't. Yeah, it is new, but it's pretty cold out there. You might get cold ears today. You can see Steph Davis taking on a gel there. You know, that'd be part of her preparation for the marathon as well. Really practicing fueling during a race is a big part of preparing for a marathon, and today is an opportunity for her to try that. And I think many of the runners out there today will be trying some of the tactics that they might take forward into the next marathon. You can see Hayley Carruthers there in 4th place at the moment, just trying to hold on to those women as the group fragments a bit. They really were together as a group for that first 30-35 minutes, and it's starting to spread out now.
Tower of London, of course, on the right shoulder of Steph Davis. And again, her office is actually only, half a mile or so away from this bridge where she works in the city in the financial services industry.
But there's usually a bit more traffic around there for her.
Absolutely
She goes on a run around there.
Yeah, these runners have the freedom of the streets of London. It really is a real privilege. And there is Hayley Carruthers, who ran the London Marathon last year, only 3 years after taking up the sport. So again, her rise through the rankings, if you like, has been pretty impressive as well.
As you see, Lily really has got a good group of men there to work with, and they are closing in on Samantha Davis here. And let me see, what do you reckon? Another half a mile, another mile, and Lily will be back with her?
I think once they hit Tooley Street and get into Bermondsey, we may well see a group of 3 become a group of 4. Tower Hotel, just on the right there, headquarters for the media operation for the London Marathon. So many of the athletes in action today will be back there, giving their press conferences before the 40th London Marathon on the 26th of April. That's exactly 8 weeks to go today.
It is, and I think if it's anything like the weather is today, that'll be absolutely brilliant, won't it? And it will look great.
Yes, I mean, often in the past, the London Marathon in recent years has been almost too warm, hasn't it? We've had some extraordinary conditions. Now they're coming down off the middle of the bridge, and for anybody who's run in either direction, you'll know that obviously there's a rise up to the apex of the bridge and then a gentle decline, so they're enjoying that now. Also enjoying himself on the streets of Bermondsey, Kenenisa Bekele with that wonderful, easy action, so economical. And he is checking his watch, isn't he? I think he's looking for a time here.
I think he must be. I think he'll have an idea of what his training has indicated he is capable of. But it's one thing to do it in training. You want to come out and show it off on the roads. But that gap he's opened up on Chris and got over sort of 6 or 7 minutes. He has absolutely lost Chris and looking really, really good. Here we go in some mile splits. So you can see he's done the damage there, dropping from 450 to 436. It must have been an incline in that to make a 450 out of that, but 436 is really going some, and that, like we were saying, round about that 60-minute pace, and it'd be fantastic to see a sub 50 here today.
It would be indeed sub 60. Yes, 50, yes. No. Let's not get greedy. Yeah, Bekele looking absolutely supreme here, and if he can continue this and get a decent time, that again will give him huge confidence going into the London Marathon. And again, that head-to-head with Eliud Kipchoge, and of course, since Bekele was last in action in London, we've had the historic sub-2-hour marathon mark broken by Kipchoge in Vienna last October. I asked Bekele whether he'd been watching that. He said, of course I did. I was watching on the television. And of course, that has also whetted his appetite. And actually, he did say a few weeks ago that had he had that level of support as well and the conditions, he fancied himself to go under 2 hours as well.
That's just what I was going to ask. I mean, would you... Oh, here we go. We'll come back to the women. So we have got, yeah, you can see Lily Partridge really has got Samantha Harrison in her sights. That's the closest we've seen Lily to, well, any female to Samantha Harrison. And trying to see if Lily's brought any of the other females with her, because today there are spots on the line for the World Half Marathon Championships that are a month today in Poland, and the selection policy states the first 3 British women over the line will get automatic selection for that championships. And so, you know, even if Lily does catch Samantha, she's got a chance, or I presume would be her first GB vest if she can pull this off. And it's a fantastic motivation for these ladies out, and to go to a global championships in the half marathon. It's just a really cool event, I think.
Yes, those championships on the 29th, as you say, of March in Gdynia in Poland. So at the moment we have Samantha Harrison still leading the way, but her lead is being eroded stride by stride from Lily Partridge in second place there with the white headband. And then just a little bit further back we have Steph Davis from Clapham Chasers, the Glasgow-born runner who's very much new to elite running in this country. Yeah. And now she's almost up on her shoulder.
This is important to me. What happens to Samantha Harrison now? She's shown great tenacity and strength to get this far in the lead anyway, but it's really what's her headspace now when Lily pulls up on her shoulder? Well,
with your former racing brain on, what would you do if you were Lily? Go straight past?
Yeah, you gotta go straight past.
Yeah, don't stop.
Let's see. I mean, what do? Do you give her a nod? Do you say, yeah, well done? But yeah, she does look like Lily might be settling there, but you can't tell. You've got this whole group of men beside her. You know, you can't tell whether she wants to move through, but she can't because she's not got the space right now.
I was just looking for the reaction, whether it was going to be a little glance to the right by Samantha Harrison, just to acknowledge the fact that Lily Partridge was now up on her shoulder. She must have felt it coming. She must have suspected that they would be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. But similar to Chris Thompson, maybe Samantha Harrison was that I can hold this miling, you know, this pace for this long. I'm just going to do it. If anyone wants to beat me, they're going to have to do it.
So the women through 8 miles in just outside 43 minutes, and here are the men's wheelchairs coming round, and it's Brent Lakatos, the Canadian, who is going to come through to take a terrific victory in 48.45. A terrific performance by him, and that is a new course record from Brent Lakatos. He's smashed David Weir's course record.
Oh wow, that's quite some performance today. Here we go, back to the women's race. Right, well, either Lily's tried to go past and Samantha Harrison hasn't let her, or Lily just want to settle for a bit and gather before the finish.
They have got a lot of company, though. There isn't a huge amount of room for Lily to have automatically gone into without moving quite wide.
No, I I did see one gentleman trying to deliberately give the ladies space and be, respect the fact that there is a race going on between these two. But yeah, these men are running for their personal best and their performances as well, so they've got every right to run the correct line for them. But yeah, Samantha Harrison, maybe that nearly really woke her up a little bit there.
Well, she's put a bit of a spurt. She hasn't lost ground on Lily Partridge, so we've now got two women virtually glued together in the women's race, approaching 45 minutes here, so they're on their way to mile 9. We've already had Brent Lakatos in the wheelchair race, and here is David Weir. Coming home in second place, David Weir, who was winner here, of course, in 2019. Not to be his day today. David Weir coming home in second place behind Brent Lakatos. We'll get his thoughts afterwards. So a second place for David Weir in the 3 years of this race.
And we cut to another Brit in the second place. We've got Chris Thompson holding on to second place here. Really set his stall out and dropped everyone, apart from Kenenisa Bekele, multi-time Olympic champion. He's done really well to drop everyone else, and it's be good to see him hold on for a good PB or a good marker before his marathon. But he's working hard, but that's Chris, he works hard. I think he'll be enjoying himself. It's a nice sunny day, but I do think it's going to be a hard next 15 minutes for him on his own.
I don't know who invented the expression no pain, no gain, but I'd like it to be Chris Thompson, because that's very much his philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No stranger to hard work. None of these guys are that train at this level, but I'm sure he's been in this level of pain multiple times in the last few months, probably this week, to be honest.
Third place in the men's wheelchair race, coming through now in just outside 51 minutes. And it's John Boy Smith coming through. Very, very quick in the men's wheelchair race today. We've got a new course record, subject to confirmation there from Brent Lakatos, sub 50 minutes. And there is John Boy Smith.
Can't tell if he's unhappy about something, or yeah, he does look a bit frustrated. Perhaps there was some trouble in that last few miles that we didn't see. I do hope there wasn't any disruption on the course and obstructions or anything like that for the riders.
Yeah, we'll try and get some reaction from John Boy Smith later on and find out what that reaction was for. But just to remind you, the course record in the men's wheelchair race prior to today, 51.12. And Brent Lakatos has gone sub 49 today, so conditions absolutely perfect here.
Absolutely. Here we go, back to first and second in the women's race with Samantha Harrison and Lily Partridge. This is really hotting up to be quite a battle between these two. Yeah, Lily's worked her way back onto Samantha Harrison then, and they just seem to be kind of surging at each other. I haven't yet seen Lily take the lead, so whether she's just content to bide her time and do one big move later on, or whether she's not capable, whether she's right on her limit right now.
Approaching 50 minutes, and Samantha Harrison, who's been leading in the women's race almost from the word go, but now has Lily Partridge for company. And from here you would expect, based on previous performances and stature of athlete, you would expect Lily Partridge to go on and win this race, but still plenty of twists and turns to go.
Yes, you're right. Lily probably has competed in more higher level road races than Samantha has. It's you do need to build up that sort of experience over these races, but Samantha Harrison's doing it, and she's doing it very well. To go out and put yourself in the lead like this, you're going to learn a lot more about your fitness and your form, and it's great to see someone be brave like that and just sort of roll the dice and have a go.
So a nice race shaping up here in the women's. Samantha Harrison looking good, still looking pretty composed, and we're slightly surprised perhaps that Lily Partridge didn't go ahead. At the moment, this man, Kenenisa Bekele, has the streets of East London to himself.
That was a smooth drink take, wasn't it? That's what he's going to be wanting to repeat in 8 weeks' time here in a marathon. You really want to be nailing that sort of drink station activities. You don't want to see some of the nightmares some of the athletes have.
Yes, and I think of Mo Farah, with no disrespect to Mo, when he talking about making the transition from track to road, and one of the most important things, particularly in marathon running, of course, is the whole technique of taking on board sustenance and liquid, and Mo struggled, if the truth be known, in the early stages.
So my question before we cut back to the women's race was, would you rather run 21:41 in Berlin in a normal race conditions with what you'd experience at Olympic Games, you know, not the special pacemakers and all the other stuff that Eliud Kipchoge had in the sub-2, or would you rather break sub-2? What would give you more confidence as a competitor?
Oh, I think breaking the bona fide world record, I think would do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Because there are people who would question, of course, the validity, really, of that sub-2-hour race, because the conditions were not, of course, ratified for world record purposes, for reasons I'm sure most people watching this will know. It was just an exercise to see if it's humanly possible to do it, and now we know the answer is yes. But of course, it wasn't ratified as a world record.
Mm-hmm. And you'd expect Kenenisa Bekele's got every right to sit at home watching that 2 weeks after running a fantastic race in Berlin and go, yeah, I could have done that. I just really hope we get to see them going head-to-head in 8 weeks, and we can kind of see who comes out on top.
Well, who will come out on top here? Because Samantha Harrison and Lily Partridge are almost stride for stride, and Lily Partridge is looking pretty composed there. Of the two, perhaps Harrison having to work a little bit harder?
Yes, no, Harrison does look under a bit more distress, but she's pushing. You know, she is really testing Lily here. She's not leaving it down to sprint finish or anything like that. And yep, Lily does look smooth. But like I said a few minutes ago, I haven't seen Lily trying to assert her dominance over Sam yet, and that's kind of curious to me that she doesn't want to sort of stamp her authority on it and really test her. She's happy just to sit in there, but that might be part of her race plan. You know, they've still got 20 minutes of running left here. It's a long way. Yeah, just under 20 minutes to beat the Charlotte Purdue course record. Don't think we're on course record pace here in the women's race. We may well be in the men's race, because Kenenisa Bekele has around 10 minutes of running left, just under 10 minutes of running left, and it's really Kenenisa against the clock. But it's an interesting little battle shaping up here between Sam Harrison and Lily Partridge in second place, and the gap to the rest is perhaps getting a little bit longer. Last we saw was Stephanie Davis in third place, with Hayley Carruthers just behind her. So it would be interesting to see whether that order stayed the same or whether it's changed at all. But with these two, it'd be great. You know, they're coming up to 10 miles here, and 10 miles in 53 minutes, just outside 53 minutes, would be on pace around 70 minutes, which would be really, really impressive. So anything in that ballpark of 53, 54, 55 minutes through 10 miles would be really impressive for these two. And for anyone out there, sort of a keen hobby jogger, not hobby jogger, that's it. I mean, a keen runner. These ladies are probably running around 5.5 minute miling, which would give you a park run of around 17.5 minutes. You know, I'd like to see how many females ran a 17.5 minute park run this week. Absolutely right. Let alone, you know, 4 of them back to back. Yeah, some excellent Saturday morning context there from Hannah. So still looking good. You can hear the breathing. Actually, it's nice just to hear the pitter patter of running shoe on tarmac. Yeah. The breathing sounds nice and measured and nice and even. And in Lily Partridge's case, all those hours and days spent down in the south of Spain training in warm weather over the winter. This is where we all find out how effective that's been. No, and it's quite quiet spectator-wise out there, and I'm sure they'll look forward to getting back downtown and a bit more of the crowd atmosphere. But also it's kind of pure, this, isn't it? Like you say, the sound of their feet. Just they've got a couple of gentlemen for company, but really it's just two women fighting it out on the roads. Further down the course, Kenenisa Bekele still checking his watch every few minutes into the last couple of miles or so, and well, a reminder that the course record 61.40, and there, well, just slowing up a little bit in that 11th mile. Yeah, so that pace, if you know that it's hard to tell with the cumulative time, but for 4:44 is bang on 62-minute pace. But obviously you can see there's a string of miles faster than that. We'd be looking for an average of 4:34 for a 60-minute half marathon. So yeah, he's not going to be far off, is he? He's not going to be far off at all. It depends on how badly he wants it. And as we've seen several times, he can come good in the latter stages. The track speed, I suppose it's a little bit fortuitous to talk about track speed for somebody who has not raced on the track for so long, but it's something surely that you never really lose. The instinct to push in the final stages of a race still stay with you. Absolutely, and he does look tired. And that doesn't concern me. I back him. But I like this. He could have come here and coasted. You know, he's clearly in fantastic shape. He could have come here and just won. But no, he really wanted to test himself, and you can see that aggression and fatigue in his face. But look below the legs, you can't see it.
No.
And that's what you like, just below the waist. Sorry, you can just see his legs, just the momentum's keeping going, and he's really wanting to test his body today.
Well, I think it's a new revitalised Kenenisa Bekele we're watching here and have seen over the last year or so. He was well aware of the criticism that perhaps he wasn't putting in the work, that he was maybe being distracted by his many business interests. He has a number of hotels in Addis. He has other business interests as well, other demands on his time. Was he putting in the work? Was he doing the hard work? You know, he's 37 years old now. Did he have the appetite for it? And I think, as we mentioned at the top of the programme, that blistering performance in Berlin last year rather put paid to all those suggestions.
No, absolutely. And do you think he would have liked to have a test today? Or do you think he would rather have had a solo run?
I think he'd like to have had a test. And with all due respect to Chris Thompson and the other British runners, and to Marius Kipserem, who we haven't really seen much of today, I think he was looking forward to, in fact, I know because I asked him, he was looking forward to going toe-to-toe with Lawrence Chirono, the Kenyan. Runners just about to embark on Tower Bridge, and what a moment this is for all these amateur runners, club runners, many people perhaps running a half marathon distance for the first time. This is, in many ways, in terms of running in London, this is as good as it gets. Running with no traffic on a warm, sunny Sunday morning over Tower Bridge. An absolutely brilliant feeling.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, if you have your friends and family out there cheering you on, it'd be pretty easy to really enjoy today, and I hope those runners are.
Still a reasonable way to go. And many of these runners, of course, will be using this big half as preparation for the London Marathon themselves, celebrating its 40th birthday this year. And it's come a long, long way from that first ever London Marathon in 1981. Now, a small change in the women's race here. Not by much, but Lily Partridge now leading the way.
As I was wondering, yeah, when was the first time we were going to see Lily going to the front? I think these ladies have probably got around 3 miles left to go. And Lily will be in heavy training for the marathon. She will have tapered down for this. She will want to feel good. But I wonder how much of it is how fast can I run those last 3 miles? What can my body do under 10 miles of fatigue? And it could just be an element of she's now going to unleash. But we'll see. I mean, Samantha Harrison's been tough.
Shelley Woods about to win the women's wheelchair race. What a return to form for Shelley Woods, who took time out, of course, to have her baby last year and has been trying to get herself back into fitness. And this is a terrific return here from Shelley Woods. The two-time London Marathon champion is victorious just outside 62 minutes. So a winning return to London for Shelley Woods, her first ever victory here in the big half. That is a big performance from Shelley Woods in 2020.
To be whether Samantha Harrison can battle back onto Lily Partridge. They're going to be running under quite a lot of fatigue here. To me, Lily looks good. It'd be nice to know who's in third as well. But Lily Partridge does look like she's pushing on to take a British title here. Is also on grabs for in this half marathon.
Yeah, lots up for grabs, not just the win of the race itself, so some prize money, qualification for the World Half Marathon Championships, as we mentioned, in Poland at the end of this month. And Lily Partridge on all fronts looking good. Her half marathon personal best is 70:31. That was set in Reading back in 2015. But she's run a very measured race here, didn't panic when Samantha Harrison took that early lead. She was quite a way ahead, wasn't she, in truth, in those early miles? She
was, and I think there's a tendency in these races, it's hard not to go out fast. And Samantha Harrison's really held on to her pace well, but I think what we're starting to see now, there'll be a lot of maybe more of the male runners that perhaps overreached in the first half of this race. They look like Lily just seems to be passing man after man after man, and that can be a really good morale boost, and I think that will help her run fast. But Samantha Harrison, I like that she's not got herself isolated. She's still got company here, and that's keeping her in touch with Lily. I wouldn't write her off quite yet, but to me, Lily does look pretty strong.
Yes, all credit to Samantha Harrison. Could easily have folded, but she's keeping on the coattails of Lily Partridge, and still a comfortable margin between second and third place. We've got Steph Davis and Hayley Carruthers, who are the chasing two athletes. So it's Partridge in one, just ahead of Sam Harrison in second place. And the clock ticking down now to the finish of the men's race. And Kenenisa Bekele, once he hit Tower Bridge, he had pretty much stolen a march on Chris Thompson, still working hard, still aggressive. And I think he's got this course record held by Mo Farah in his sights here. 61.40, remember, Mo Farah, who had the benefit of company last year. He had his training partner with him in the latter stages of the race, so there was a definite sprint finish. And he's working his way in the final couple of minutes of this race towards the iconic Cutty Sark, the famous T-clipper, and be waiting for him in Greenwich.
What message does this send to you about Kenenisa Bekele?
This sends a message. Yeah, this sends a message to say, are you watching Eliud Kipchoge?
Yeah. What do you think he's capable of in Tokyo, if he's capable of this on his own?
I think he's capable of a medal. There's no doubt about it. Coming into the streets of Greenwich then, many people will be familiar with these sights. Kenenisa Bekele, well, I think he's got a course record here. This is the centre of Greenwich, and any minute now, Cutty Sark will loom into vision. He's what, less than 200 metres to go. Kenenisa Bekele, it's been a terrific effort here. Kenenisa Bekele is going to smash the course record today. A big performance from a big athlete here. Bekele is back to winning ways in London here. Terrific performance. Just outside 60 minutes, he has smashed Mo Farah's course record of 61.40. A winning performance here from Kenenisa Bekele, the best track athlete of all time. And is that a warning, I wonder, for Eliud Kipchoge for the London Marathon, which will take place on these very streets in 8 weeks' time?
Here we go, and Chris Thompson coming in for second. He's held on really well out there on his own. I think he's going to have a decent time as well.
Chris Thompson has run really well here today. Made the early running a very, very aggressive first half of the race for Chris Thompson. And Chris Thompson just outside 61 minutes.
I think he's about 5 seconds off his personal best there, which is absolutely phenomenal. Running most of that second half solo, I think that is an absolutely fantastic run from Chris. And I bet he'll be very, very happy with that. It's a British half marathon title and second place overall. It's a great day.
Well, well done, Chris Thompson. So the first two home in the men's race. Kenenisa Bekele, a comfortable course record for him, and Chris Thompson just outside, as Hannah said, just outside his lifetime best, which was 61 seconds dead, set at the Great North Run back in 2012. Lily Partridge then, on her way, and that gap between Partridge and Harrison is growing.
And like I said, she's just picking off these male runners, and I think she's really just looking forward and trying to see how far she can finish this race. Oh wow!
Second place there. Rainbow Cooper finishing second in the women's wheelchair race, and Jake Smith third home in the men's race. The youngster, you marked our card, didn't you, earlier on today, Hannah? A terrific performance. And Mel Nichols coming through in third place in the women's wheelchair race. So the top three home in the women's wheelchair race. Shelley Woods coming home on her return to action here in London. And the top three home in the men's race, with Kenenisa Bekele ahead of Chris Thompson.
And Jake Smith there in third, perhaps taking something off his British under-23 record there, but booking his place to the World Half Marathon, as it looks like Lily Partridge and Samantha Harrison will be doing the same. Lily just looks, first time, I think she's up in the effort there and up in the tempo.
Yeah, the shoulders just starting to rock a little bit, and a little bit more intent, I think, on the shoulders and the face of Lily Partridge. Well, there we are. Ross Millington has also come home, but Jake Smith, yeah, what a terrific performance. We'll bring you confirmation of his time as soon as we can, but that must be very close to a lifetime best.
38-year-old Chris Smith shaking hands with the 21-year-old Jake Smith. It's quite a nice range there. And Ross Millington looking really, that's a really strong performance off Ross as well, and looking forward to seeing how he goes over the next few weeks.
Lilia Partridge then, 63 minutes, the course record, remember, 70.29, held by Charlie Purdue from 2 years ago. She'll be watching, I'm sure, from Australia with interest here, because there's so much up for grabs here. We've got places for the World Half Marathon Championships, as we say, British Championships as well. And of course, there's a stepping stone for many of these athletes for the London Marathon in 8 weeks' time, and qualification places for Tokyo 2020 later in the summer.
Absolutely, and yeah, this makes me optimistic. I think Lily's trainings must have been going quite well to be looking this good, and it's it's nice to see her out running there, and it's a lot of hard miles over the winter, and as a marathoner you don't get the chance to race much, and that's what I always seen the hardest thing for me. You can spend all that time training and then you only get to do your event a couple of times a year. It must be really fun to come out like this in a half marathon and show off your hard work.
You're absolutely right, and Mo Farah, I know, amongst others, felt that difference very acutely once he stepped away from the track, not racing anywhere near as frequently, and of course all your training building up for just 1 or 2 races a year.
Yeah.
But Lily Partridge, look at the determination on her face here. She really senses that this is, well, it should be victory, but it's a question of the time as well. 70:31, her personal best, which is only a couple of seconds outside the course record today.
And I wonder, yeah, with Samantha Harrison running so aggressively in that first half, it's going to help pull Lily through to a fast time here. It's all set up well for her, and it's a nod to Matt Rees as she overtakes him, famous for helping a competitor over the line in the London Marathon when it was extremely hot a few years ago. But I'm not sure he'd like to be getting overtaken by Lily right now.
No, that won't do his...
he might put up a bit of a fight, which could help Lily. I think it would be good.
Some things never change. So into the final mile or so here for Lily Partridge here in the big half. Wonderful conditions. Winter sunshine. There we are, plenty of runners still out on the course. 15,000 runners taking part from the 4 boroughs, 6,000 of those from those specific 4 boroughs. This very much a community event, a festival of running across the weekend. This the showpiece, the centerpiece, but we've also got the little half, the big mile, the big festival as well.
And I'm sure some of these individuals out here will have friends that they go running with, but to get to pound the streets with this many people, that really will feel very different to sort of those solo miles people might be doing in the dark before work or the dark after work. To come out on a Sunday morning like this, like we keep saying, on the closed roads and the beautiful sunshine round sort of iconic sites.
And just being part of an official event, I think, always gives you an extra spring in your stride. It's a very different experience, as you say, to all those solo runs. Lily Partridge then very much on her way, approaching Greenwich, and Cutty Sark not far away now into the last 4 or 5 minutes. She is looking back, just checking how much comfort she's got. I think she's got quite a nice little cushion here that she's built up over Samantha Harrison.
No, it's good to look though. You don't want to get caught out. Yeah, you don't want a surprise coming up on your shoulder. And I often wonder, is that at this stage in the race, is that her going, I'm tired, I want to back off, or is it, oh, I can just risk everything? There's no, you know, I've got that distance, I've got that lead, I can throw everything at it and see how fast I can finish.
Not quite as easy as she was, whether that's because she's feeling the pinch or she's deciding to work harder. Which of those two do you think it is?
I think she's working harder. I think, to me, it really looked like I'd be interested to hear her comments after. I mean, what was it, a deliberate decision? Really lift those last 3 miles, and I'm sure she's had some sort of instructions from her coach and stuff. How are you going to make the most out of this event? You want the overall result and the time and the position, but it's also what elements can you take forward in your preparation for the much larger. I'm sure for her, the big focus will be that London Marathon, trying to book a place to Tokyo.
Well, the cadence has certainly picked up. The head starting to rock just a little bit from side to side. And we're not quite into Paula Radcliffe territory there in terms of the head bobbing, but a little less stable. But she's still looking very, very comfortable indeed.
I haven't seen her take on a drink or a gel at all. This looks like just a you know, it's interesting to me when you see different people approach an event at this distance, and fueling is an important part, and I'm sure we'll see lots of the club runners and the fun runners that have had to incorporate that into their training. But for Lily, it looks like she can just get out there and hammer herself for 70 minutes and make it.
Yeah, she's been feeling good. She's been posting very, very positive pictures and comments from her training base in Murcia over the last few weeks, so she must be coming into this race feeling and looking good, and she certainly delivered on that. It's her 3rd appearance in this still very young race, the big half. First run in 2018, she was 2nd on that occasion. She was 5th here last year and looks to be going all the way here in 2020. A really measured performance here from Lily Partridge, with approaching 69 minutes on the clock, so just a couple of minutes left of running.
No, and if there's anyone sort of keen on running stats, Lily's very good at putting a lot of stuff out there on social media. I'm pretty sure she's on Strava as well. If anyone is curious to sort of see, you know, what's the mile splits and what's the pacing effort she's put into this, I'm sure that'll be out there. And I think she posted about a session the other day, 3 or 4 by 3 miles. And that's the sort, you know, that's a park run. Yeah, she's sort of done a park run as a rep, and she's done a lot of them. And I do wonder if that's sort of part of the element today.
So Lily Partridge on her way to victory here, with Samantha Harrison, who made much of the early running, in second place, and trying to close her down. Steph Davis from Scotland, the amateur runner, who's also trying to book a place on the team for Tokyo in 2020. And Hedy Carruthers in 3rd and 4th in pursuit. But Lily Partridge here, barring any accidents, will be on her way to victory here. 70:29. Remember the course record held by Charlotte Purdue, who also ran a very measured race here last year, 12 months ago. Charlotte Purdue, who's currently in Australia, as we mentioned, warm weather training, getting ready for that London Marathon at the end of April.
She's looking at her watch. She knows what she's aiming to do, and whether that's just whether she's just clipped off from a mile there, I'm not sure.
Well, into Greenwich, and the crowd's thickening all the way. Just a nice little glance away. She'll make a couple of now final turns. Just the final couple of 100 metres into Greenwich, gritting the teeth. She knows that course record has perhaps gone. It has gone, but Lily Partridge here is storming to victory. It's been a really measured performance, a terrific performance. She was 2nd in 2018, 5th last year, and Lily Partridge here has put in a wonderful performance in front of Cutty Sark. Here she comes. Lily Partridge at the 3rd attempt is victorious in the big half. Job done for Lily Partridge. 70:49 the winning time. Here is Samantha Harrison, a wonderful performance for her, the athlete from Nottingham who made all the early running. Well done to Samantha Harrison for hanging on there. Didn't panic when Lily Partridge reeled her in. And that's Steph Davis, I think, coming home for 3rd place. So the 3 women, the top 3 women home pretty quickly, one after the other. And Steph Davis there looks pretty happy with herself. So congratulations to Lily Partridge, to Samantha Harrison, and to Steph Davis, the 1, 2, 3 in the women's race.
Now, I'd say it's fantastic from Stephanie Harrison to carry on, to hold on to that 2nd place, and Hayley Carruthers coming back in a really strong 4th position here. I think she's like, oh no, they're getting either side of that. But it's good to see Hayley Carruthers negotiate that smoothly and come home for a 4th position. A really strong performance from all of those top 4 today.
Yeah, it augurs well for the British team. We said plenty at stake here for these women today. Places in the World Half Marathon Championships, less than a month away. But Lily Partridge, you know, looked very businesslike there. And it's good to see that winning smile from the athlete from Aldershot, Farnham District.
Absolutely, and there are British athletics can take 5 athletes to the World Half Marathon Championship. So depending on what some of the other ladies that aren't here today, the likes of Steph Twile and Charlotte Purdue, want to do, we could well see some of the other ladies from today on that team for the World Half Marathon Championships.
So the top 3 there in the women's race, and of course plenty more unfolding over the next few hours here on the streets of London. There are plenty of British runners. We'll try and pick out 1 or 2 of the club runners who we've identified in advance worthy of mention. And of course, amateur runners, club runners, many people here in training for the London Marathon and other marathons as well. Of course, there's Boston, as Lawrence Chirono will be defending his title the week before the London Marathon. But marathon season very much up and with us. Some people perhaps running this half marathon distance for the first time.
Great to see all those guys out today, and these guys will be a little bit happier as they come into the finish, and they've only got sort of 100 or 200 meters to go, and there's going to be, I think, a lot of relief there for those guys, that they can really see the end, and they can finish their running for today.
And what a spot to finish. Very different, of course, to the finish of the London Marathon, but the iconic Cutty Sark there at the end.
Wonder if that guy usually gets to join in on the runs. A bit confused. Why are you not taking me with you?
Absolutely, yeah. Sunday morning run. So good club runners still filing through. These are all runners with very, very good times, well inside 2.5 hours for the marathon.
There's Jenny Spink
coming through, yeah, in 5th place unofficially. Great run from Jenny Spink with just, what, 20 metres to go. So the top five through. So there we go, the elite races all finished here. Let's go back to Radzi. Well, Radzi is amongst the runners there. We'll be going down to Radzi. Radzi is now waiting for us. We've got the winners through in the men's and women's races. Radzi, it's back to you.
It's so easy to take for granted the history we have here in London. It's safe to say this city looks absolutely gorgeous in the sun today, as does the energy, as does the excitement. But we'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this event? It's all for us about community and togetherness. So we'd love you to get in touch with us via the hashtag Big Half, and let us know whether you're getting involved. If you know somebody that is involved, whether perhaps you want to get involved next year, please do get in touch with us and we'll read out some of your comments a little bit later on in the show. Now, as you can see behind me, there's an awful lot here going on. There's music, there are bands, there are performances. It is really about community, unity, solidarity and togetherness, and the perfect example of that is a very special run crew.
Amazing run crew!
Come on, you're going to be asking me for my photos.
So the reason why I set up ERC is all about making sure there's adequate representation and being visible to other Black and Asian people out there who want to start running but just don't have, they don't have a connection with the marketing that's out there at the moment. It's really great to be sharing this journey because we're all on different stages of our running journey, and to have friends with us doing this, it is like an extended family.
I found running with ERC particularly encouraging and motivating because it enabled us to operate in a space that was for us. The running community generally is very white and doesn't really feel inclusive of other people from different minority groups. Running with ERC enabled us to claim our own space in those spaces and enabled us to be us without needing permission from others.
Before I started running, I used to walk around London or, be in a park and see groups of runners and not see anyone who really looked like me at all, actually. And so I didn't think that it was something that was for someone who looked like me. And it was only when my sister encouraged me to take part in a 10K, I was like, okay, why can I not run? What's stopping me from running? Just because I don't see people who look like me doesn't mean that they're not there or it's something that I can't do. So what's different about the Vitality Big Half for me is that it's a race that's really trying to celebrate the diversity of London and to show that running is an activity that's open to anyone who lives in London. And London is a really, special place. It is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And why should that not be reflected in the activities that happen in London? I think that they've gone out there and really spoken to groups and really tried to get them on board to sort of promote the message that this is a diverse running event, and trying to encourage more runners, which is exactly what we're trying to do in ERC. We're trying to encourage more BAME runners to come and join us with this running, activity that we love so much.
Yeah, plenty of worthy causes being run for here. These runners going through 9 miles, so just over 4 miles to go. Plenty more twists and turns in this race. Terrific support, I have to say, Hannah, on the side of the course today. Very different to last year, of course. Conditions not very good at all last year, but spectators coming out in force.
I'm sure there's lots of excited friends and family there, waiting for their person to come in. You know, they would have seen them go out time and time again on these training runs to prepare for this event, and it's lovely to be able to then go and support them as they work towards their goals.
Yeah, many of these people will be taking part in a proper organised race for the first time, and it really does put an extra little spring in your step. I remember very clearly when running my first race, having done lots of solo training, it does make a difference. And when you can run against the backdrop of things like the Cutty Sark, it makes a huge difference.
And I love running, clearly. Spent an awful lot of my life doing it.
And rather good at it you were as well.
But I really, really enjoy people getting the bug for running and being involved in events like this. It's just, yeah, I love to see it, and I hope these guys, whether this is the only organised race they ever do, they just take the most from it and keep running.
And the boom, of course, that started in the United States in the mid-late 70s and came over and has really conquered the world. Many people saying, oh, it'll burn itself out, it won't last. It just seems to, every year, go from strength to strength as people become more health conscious, of course, and many people getting out and running for the first time. It just seems to be addictive.
It is, and it's a great addiction, largely for most people, a very positive addiction. And I get frustrated, people say, oh, I can't run. And I say, well, just go and give it a go. You start small, and that's the wonderful thing. We've got parkrun in Britain as well. It's just a fantastic medium for people to get into running and have a chance to have real tangible kind of, how am I doing? How am I this month? What am I doing next month? And how can I progress?
How much has that Couch to 5K program been a factor, do you think?
I think it's great, and I think it's just there's so many fantastic schemes out there, just showing everyday people that they can get out and run. We've got some great tweets coming here at Paul Rhodes. Beautiful morning to run a half marathon. Doesn't say whether he's running it or not. He could just be commenting that it's a beautiful morning. Let's hope Paul's out there enjoying it.
Yeah, let's invite your messages. Plenty of opportunities to get in touch and interact with the programme. Hashtag Big Half. Plenty of people supporting. We've also heard from one or two celebrities. They're also running today. It's wonderful. Winter sunshine, and goodness me, we've put up with a lot of bad weather in this country over the last few weeks. We've had several storms. Jorge is the latest storm to hit the UK, but thankfully nice and dry and almost perfect running conditions for a Sunday morning jog.
I would normally be hiding at indoor races this weekend, this time of year, and the last month that's certainly been the platform you'd want to compete on. We had absolutely disgusting conditions for the English National Cross Country Championships last week, and the Scottish National Cross Country Championships. I think if we had those conditions today, you wouldn't have seen so many smiling faces out there.
And it's a good distance to do, isn't it, actually? The marathon distance, of course, is quite daunting for many people, 42 kilometres, 26.2 miles, but this is an achievable distance. It should be still respected, of course. It's still 21 kilometres, but well within the compass, I guess, of club runners and people who've been running for a while.
No, you'd hope so, and I think you're right. I think it is that sort of achievable. The more training you do for it, the funner it will be. I think that's what you try and sell it to people. If you put some training in, you can actually go and enjoy an event like this. But for many people, it's just about completing it. But you'd hope they can do one, really enjoy it, and just come back and do more and more. We see a lot of these guys here might have been targeting that sub 1 hour 30. The 90-minute barrier is quite a significant mark for a lot of club and kind of recreational runners. So you can see how many of them can nip under that 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Which leads me into asking about your half marathon experience. I think you have completed one in sub 130.
One and done. That was my half marathon. I think, what do we work at? 1 hour 25 something I did at the Guernsey Easter Festival, which is great fun. I would cover between sort of 11 and 13 miles on a long run in training anyway, but I only raced the distance once.
There we go. They're starting young. I wonder whether there's a half marathon runner for the future. But it's good to see people coming out, supporting friends and family, and it does make a difference. Like many people watching here, I've run the London Marathon on a number of occasions, and just hearing people shouting your name and giving encouragement at the side of the road, particularly when times get tough, and particularly in the London Marathon when you go around Canary Wharf, that's when you really need the people behind you.
You tell me.
You're not tempted?
You won't catch me doing that. No. And it's I was wondering, wonder what that chap, that young man there, is he going to go, oh yeah, I fancy a bit of that, or is he going to go, they're crazy, so that's too far. But this is a good advert for middle distance running for long distance running today.
Well, if I had £1 for every person who said, no, I don't run, as you say, never in a million years, and then who changed their mind and never looked back and are now absolutely hooked about getting out and running, I would be a very rich man.
No, and it's wonderful, and sometimes it's self-motivation for your own health, whether that be physical or mental, and then to have that added motivation, sometimes you just want to raise money for charity, and that, if that is what gets you to that start line and helps you to find sport and running, and the motivation to run for charity can be incredibly strong, and I'm sure we've got a lot of people out there doing that today.
And of course the arrival of social media in the last decade or so has obviously transformed the communication that surrounds running and events like this, and please do keep your tweets coming in. #BigHalf. So runners still coming home in decent times. These are good club runners coming home in just outside 90 minutes. So well done to them. And a reminder, in the elite races today, victories for Brent Lakatos in the men's wheelchair, Shelley Woods winning again in London on her return after having a baby, Kenenisa Bekele really a time trial in the end against the clock coming home in the men's race, and Lily Partridge in the women's. So that's the situation here so far. Let's go back to Radzi. I mentioned that a number of celebrities have been running in the race, and he caught up with one or two of them at the start earlier today.
So when it's cold, what do? You warm up, and alongside me is EastEnders star Tanya Franks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Radzi. I'm really good. I'm just trying to keep warm here because it's a bit chilly till that sun really comes up over that building, I think. So.
But then it's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, it's going to be a gorgeous day, I think. The sun's going to come out. I don't know if it's going to rain or not. I don't think it is. So, but this is great. I like it when it's colder and cooler to run. So
you're speaking from experience then? You've been training well?
I did this a year ago, and it was my first ever race. And now the music is really celebrating. Here we are a year later. And I did the marathon last year. I'm doing the marathon again this year. So all great.
And like the music, you're feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to it. I did 12 miles Monday week ago.
Wow.
And I've just done some little 3 and 5 milers since. So I'm feeling today's my 13.1 miler coming up, and I'm looking forward to it.
I like it. Well, lovely to talk to you. As it is, and we're also joined by theatre star Carrie Hope Fletcher. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit chilly, but good.
Now, have you learnt here we've got to go on our toes and just keep moving, and all of a sudden we feel good?
Yep, I've been out of shot doing it at the same time, so.
And how's your training been going?
Good, crazy, because I'm doing shows in the evening, so I've been getting up early, getting the training in, and then going to a show sort of half dead. But no, good. It's going really well, thank you.
And with that in mind, being on stage, you're not just acting, you're having to project your voice and sing as well. Does that mean you've kind of got a natural engine?
I mean, if I haven't experienced it. I'm just trying to build it up as time goes on.
And what's this about for you? Is it about crossing the line or getting a certain time?
Crossing the line. As long as I cross that finish line, I'm going to be absolutely thrilled. There will be tears, lots of them.
We'll look forward to seeing those. And Tanya, what time are you after?
Well, my fastest so far for a half has been 2:24. So not really fast by a lot of people's standards, but it's fast for me. I don't know if I'll beat that today because I did that in Amsterdam and it was flat. But I don't know. Oh, look, I just want to complete. I've got my personal best already, so if I do better, brilliant.
This is a magic hand. When we high-five it, it'll happen. So 2:24 and cross the finish line.
2:23.
Yes, good luck, ladies.
Okay, thank you. See you later, Radzi.
Back with Radzi for more celebrity chat very shortly. In the meantime, they just keep coming and coming, and it's a great sight, isn't it? Everybody with their own individual thoughts, Hannah. Mentally speaking, I'm just thinking, when you look back to your half marathon, did you find that a bigger mental challenge than all the track stuff you'd done?
Absolutely. I mean, I tell people, I ran 1500. They go, that's long, and I'm like, it's not. It's just outside 4 minutes. I would run, and that's not an awful lot of time to concentrate for. But the sort of demons and everything you go through when you're pushing your body for a longer period of time is, I think it's quite intense. And I think that's what, again, we touched on it before, but that's what's so tremendous with events like this. It is running as an individual sport. It's a solo challenge. These people are out there feeling like they're on their own, but then in this big community like this, on a day like this, it's going to be a lot easier and just a lot more exciting. And I feel like you earn this. You earn this all those training runs before work and after work, and yeah, you can just sort of enjoy it when you come out like this.
And as a former world silver medalist. I suppose that the risk is, the expectation is that you can, we talked about it earlier on, that you can just effortlessly, after your retirement from the track, move into road running, and that you'll be a hugely successful half marathon and marathon runner. And they're almost two different sports, aren't they?
I absolutely think they're two different sports. Yeah, you need a much larger endurance engine. There's lots of elements you can train. You still need speed training. You might come in a sprint finish, and you might come in. That might come into the sort of performance element of it there. But it's just where the different weighting in your training sits, and you have to do those over distance runs, and you really have to be a different beast to be a half marathoner and a marathoner physically. But for me, I truly think there's a tremendous difference mentally as well. It's been incredibly mentally tough to do the training and competing at an elite marathon level and at a recreational level as well. I think people don't give these lot won't be giving themselves enough credit. They'll say, oh, did you see what Lily Partridge ran? God, that's amazing. And you're like, well, no, you're out there longer. Like, they're still running to their maximum effort, and the more recreational runners, to be out there, if you ask some of the elite runners, would you rather be out there for 1 hour or two? They'd rather be out there for one. So I think these guys are working hard as well.
Absolutely right. And of course, in recent years, if we look back to the elite, the move from straight to the road and not having a track career has become more and more common. And I guess people like Mo Farah found that out, didn't he, when he made the switch from track to road and started marathon running. He was coming up against guys who'd got maybe half a dozen, maybe a dozen marathons in their legs, who were younger than him.
No, absolutely. I think with the, especially in some of the African nations, the lure of the prize money in some of these big international road races has meant people had skipped the track races. Because if you're not, I don't know, coming top 5, top 6 in the Olympic Games, the World Championships, some of those Diamond League races, you can't make any money out of it. And that's different across different nations. You might still want to be champion of your nation, but as a Kenyan runner, there's no point in being the 10th best 10K track runner in your country. You're not going to make a living out of that. You're better off flying around the world and racking up that experience in the half marathons and the marathons, like you say. And then you're right, if you move from the track, like Mo Farah, you're suddenly faced with these athletes that have a lot more experience and a lot more miles in their legs.
Still a few more miles left in the legs of these ladies and gentlemen out on the streets. And there we are, Tower Bridge. You can't get enough of that site, really. Such an iconic part of the London landscape, of course. And just to remind you, this will be the focal point, of course, of the London Marathon in 8 weeks' time. But they'll be going in the opposite direction. They'll be going from south to north at about, what, 13, just before halfway of the London Marathon course. But I think it's nice just to stop and pause and listen to the sound of running shoe on tarmac. It's nice, isn't it? Itching to get out there?
It's making me want to go on a run. Maybe not 13 miles worth of running, but it is nice and it is pure, isn't it?
I think anybody who's been injured, and I'm sure people who are running today, people we're looking at here and people watching, have all had their little injury worries over the years. When you can't run, it makes you realise, and you must have seen this as a professional track athlete, it makes you realise how much you miss the sport when you can't do it.
Absolutely, and I think, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people sat at home that potentially even had an entry for this race. And if you are in that boat, I hope you can get over that injury and get back to doing a fantastic event like this.
So good to see so many happy, smiling faces, and all the more so when you know that you're almost there. And these runners coming through Greenwich, which is always been busy on a Sunday morning at the best of times with the market and all the shops, and Cutty Sark, of course, one of the main tourist attractions in London. Well, just been set to one side to allow these runners to take centre stage, and just to the right of picture there, they'll be coming through to cross the finish line in front of that iconic Cutty Sark T-Clipper, restored, of course, after the fire a few years ago. Still have winter sunshine to accompany them, which is a terrific thing in contrast to the storms we've had. And last year, if you were with us, we had awful wind and rain, and sadly the festival had to be cancelled as well. There we've got the, is that a sub 2 hour mark? Here we go. So ready for the presentation for the women's wheelchair race. And in third place, Mel Nichols. Big smile for her. Prize money of £1,000, £1,500. And the youngster, the 18-year-old Eden Rainbow Cooper, very much one to watch for the future, coming in second place. So a real coming of age of sorts for Rainbow Cooper today. £2,000 of prize money, that'll come in very, very handy for Eden Rainbow Cooper. But what a story this is. So good to see Shelley Woods back on top of the podium here. Twice a winner of the London Marathon. She then took time out to have a baby. She and her husband Chris starting a family last year, and little Leo arrived. And of course, anybody watching who has started a family knows how tough it is to get back and get into that training regime. And well, it's great to see the unmistakable smile of Shelley Wood back on the top of the podium and a winner here in London. So the women's presentation done. We'll be back for the men's very shortly. We'd like your messages as well. Hashtag Big Half. Do get in touch.
That gentleman's made his day a little bit harder by dressing as a giant bell. It's fun to see the fancy dress, and that would have been a lot tougher in the conditions last year as well, with the wind and the rain. To run in any sort of costume would have been much harder. But luckily these lot have got their sunglasses on, they've got their t-shirts on, they can just focus on running without having to have that concern over the weather. I think that's always a bit frustrating if you train really hard and you've got the elements to take into consideration as well. It's much funner to come out on a day like this. He's maybe not on PB pace if he's stopping to greet nearest and dearest.
Yeah, it's a different level, isn't it? You competitive animals wouldn't dream of stopping to say hello to anybody.
Oh, no.
But for many of these people, it's just the taking part. But again, stress, it's still pretty early days. These are still decent times being achieved by these runners.
Absolutely, and I'm sure some people out here, as you said, they will be just after completing it, after taking part. But I think once you put in that training, it's hard not to feel like you want a time as well. Here we are in the wheelchair men's elite presentation.
Yeah, the top three on the podium here. John Boy Smith coming home in third place. Very much a disciple, if you like, of David Weir. Part of the Weir Archer Academy with Jenny Archer. Was due to be competing in the Tokyo Marathon, but as you may have seen, because of the coronavirus, that was just an elite race. He decided not to travel. David Weir, former course record holder, of course, and winner last year, having to settle for second place today. Will be interesting to get his thoughts on how it went today and what impact that will have on the London Marathon at the end of April. He's going for a 9th victory there. But today, victory for Brent Lakatos from Canada. Terrific performance from him. He really went out very aggressively. And a new course record for Lakatos. And his wife, Steph Reed, I'm sure will be watching on very proudly indeed. So there are top three in the men's wheelchair race here in the big half in 2020. So a couple of second places now for David Weir. Now based on the south coast. How impressed were you by Brent Lakatos today?
It's pretty impressive. I think it's not often you see David Weir getting beaten at all, let alone by that much. It would have been interesting to see the tactics, and it might be fun to look back at, see if they've got any of their splits and stuff like that, to see what went on there. They do cover the course so phenomenally quick, those guys. It's hard to take it all in. We've got some more relieved runners just in the, I think they're coming up to the finishing straight as well. Lot of joy for those guys, and it's interesting to see some of them sprinting it and using that last bit of energy, really trying to empty the tank. Like I said, perhaps they have got an eye on the time, whether it's sub 2 hours now we might be moving towards, but that can be quite a cool benchmark for some of these athletes today.
Well, what a sight that is. Some early season daffodils out, which is not a sight we thought we'd see several weeks ago with all the murky weather we've had here. So spring, dare I say it, perhaps on its way.
You've jinxed it there.
I've jinxed it,
we
yeah.
can have one day of spring for this lot. That's well deserved.
Of course, today's St David's Day, 1st of March. And of course, the modern fun runner, club runner, will also be recording this on their phones as well. Not just taking part, but being seen to be taking part and recording it. Well done, sir.
See some lovely messages coming here and family support and comments on the elites as well. It's kind of good for everyone. You can get behind some of the best runners in Britain showing off what they can do, and then behind the members of the public just getting out there on the roads.
And that is what awaits them at the finish. 13.1 miles. Still a day to take on plenty of fluid, of course, and runners encouraged to drink little and often. That's the mantra really for even over the half marathon distance. Even on a day when it's relatively cool, there is some sunshine, dehydration will be a factor.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're out there as long as these guys. We talked about whether the elites were taking on fluids, and that's a different ballpark. If you're only running for sort of between 60 and 80 minutes, you might not get as dehydrated as some of these others. But it's an important consideration. You might, without it being the temperature, you know, the thermometer showing a high temperature, you might sort of go, oh, I'm all right. They're still open to that risk of cramp and that sort of stuff really ruining your day.
The mantra advised by the event organisers, the triple D, drink, drain and drop. So encouraging recycling. The plastic bottles will all be recycled, but it's important to sip little and often. There is a risk of overhydration over the marathon distance, and one or two times we've had examples of that. That can be also nasty, so you have to get the balance right. Hydrating, but not too much.
And for anyone thinking of doing an event like this, I would always recommend trying stuff like that in training. You know, you should never come to an event like this and see someone else with a energy hydration drink and go, oh, I'll copy them. It's all about sort of practicing stuff in training and just carrying on what your body's used to, and not sort of knee-jerking into something different when you turn up to a big event like this. What's your view on trying out your kit and your shoes before you do a race like this? I think people love to save their new shoes or their new T-shirt for a big race.
Absolutely not to be done at all. Wouldn't advise it at all. Go with the tried and tested. So ready for the women's presentation. Donna Fraser doing the honours here, former track athlete, of course, British track athlete, and Steph Davis coming home in third place. A terrific performance from the athlete from Clapham Chasers. And she is in contention for a place in Tokyo 2020 in the full marathon, and she will be in action on these very streets in 8 weeks' time in the London Marathon. She'll be, I'm sure, delighted to be on the podium here today. Steph Davis, a new name for many people. Sam Harrison, who made much of the early running from Notts AC, did really well to remain competitive throughout the latter stages, even when she was reeled in by the eventual winner, Lily Partridge. So Samantha Harrison has done really well there to finish in the top three with the World Half Marathon Championships at the end of the month. So congratulations to her. Probably one of the best results of her career. But the winner here in London this morning with a really controlled, measured performance, Lily Partridge. The 28-year-old who was 5th last year, 2nd in the first year of running this race in 2018, and now finally at the 3rd attempt on top of the podium. And no wonder she's smiling. It was a really nice, measured performance, and all that training in the south of Spain paying off, just outside the course record and her own personal best. But it was an aggressive performance today, Hannah, wasn't it? And we saw from quite early on that she meant business.
No, it was dominant. I think it was a really good measured effort. I think she knew what she was doing there. You know, letting Samantha Harrison go, but then coming back at her, and like we saw, really pushing on in that last 3 miles and just sort of asserting her dominance on the race.
So those are the photographs that will be adorning the newspapers and websites tomorrow. And the band plays on. And we haven't mentioned music. We've mentioned lots of things about what it takes to get out and run a half marathon, Hannah. But you cannot underestimate the importance of sound when you're running 13.1 miles. And bands like this, they make a difference.
No, and I hope A lot of people say, oh, I run with headphones, or I run with music and stuff like that. I'd hope if you were running with music today, you could take the time to turn it off and kind of see what's going on. The organisers have put on some great things to build the atmosphere. You got the cheers, you got the music. It would be nice to kind of hear all that.
Well, Kenenisa Bekele and Lily Partridge have hit the right notes today, certainly in the elite race. And look at that, still they come. And it is like a kaleidoscope of colour. Hundreds and thousands of little ants all bobbing up and down, all with the same goal in mind.
And we were going to touch on before, this is something we see a lot now in the mass races, the pacers. To put someone out there with a massive flag on that, to give you something to shoot at, I think is really, really fun. It takes that pressure off, keeping an eye on your watch and panicking about that. You can just find a flag and try and stay as close to them as you can.
Next generation of runners, we hope. And still they come over Tower Bridge. We'll have the men's presentation a little bit later on. And here we are, in fact, bang on cue. And third place today, Jake Smith, a youngster, 21 years old. And we think a new under-23 British record, unofficially. So well done to Jake Smith. It's only his third ever half marathon. Chris Thompson, well, at the other end, if you won't mind me saying, of the age spectrum, 38 years old now, but a terrific performance from Chris Thompson, going toe-to-toe with Kenenisa Bekele for the first half of the race. And well, it was only once they got over Tower Bridge that the Ethiopian cut loose. But that was a great performance from Chris Thompson, and suggests that he's in good shape ahead of the London Marathon. Well, it's a massive course record. The greatest track athlete of all time and the second fastest marathon runner of all time. A clear winner here today. And, well, he only flew in from Addis on Friday morning, overnight flight. A little couple of training runs yesterday. And straight into business today. And, well, he'll be delighted, I'm sure, not just with the victory, but the manner of the victory. 60:22. Shaving over a minute off Mo Farah's course record from last year.
And a really, really dominant run there, and yeah, two dominant runners in the men elites, the male and female elite, and Shelley Woods was very dominant as well. And in the men's as well. It was a pretty clear cut by the end. Didn't have too many photo finishes on the road today.
And it sets it up beautifully, as we mentioned earlier on, for the London Marathon in 8 weeks' time. Kenenisa Bekele going head-to-head with Eliud Kipchoge, the two fastest marathon runners in history, going head-to-head on these very streets at the end of April. Still plenty for these people to stay interested in. There's that little dome there is the Greenwich Tunnel, which allows you to go by foot or by bike, if you're careful and sensible, under the river, under the Thames, over to the other side. So it's quite a busy place. You mentioned music. We were talking about music. Where do you stand on headphones? Are you a with or without?
I think whatever you need to help you enjoy your training. I think, you know, why is there point in punishing yourself if you really, really struggle out there and a bit of music helps you get out, then that's brilliant. Personally, I didn't use it. I was lucky enough that I'd often be running with people, so I could talk to someone. Yeah, it didn't play a large part in my training. I'd use it for maybe in the weights room, or if I was injured on a bike, then I'd use it then. But I just think whatever people enjoy. There is an element of safety for me. I think if you are out running on the roads, I generally do think it's important you can hear the traffic. So I would urge people to consider that if they are thinking about using earphones. Yeah, I'm not trying to be pedantic there, but I really think it can be quite dangerous if you can't hear a car coming, or even just a bike behind you if you're in a park and that sort of stuff. I think it's much better to be able to hear what's around you.
Yes, I agree. And on a day like this, of course, which is a big occasion, and this is for many of these people what they've been working towards, there's a special atmosphere out on the course. And of course, if you've got headphones in your ears, you're going to miss out on that. But I agree, it's whatever works for you. Music can be hugely motivating and get you through those really difficult moments, and there are plenty of those.
No, I think it's about separating you're going through a lot of physical pain, and sometimes it's important to distract yourself mentally. You know, as you saw, you can dwell, you get really dragged down, like, God, I am tired, I can't do anything else, blah, blah, blah. And if you can chuck your favourite album in the way, that can help dissociate you from that. But I would argue you're better off learning to do that without music to help you.
And the band played on. Still they come. So presentation of the medals in the British Championships. Ross Millington coming through in 3rd place. The man from Stockport, coached by Steve Vernon. That was an excellent performance and a nice warm embrace, wasn't there, at the end between him and Chris Thompson, the two of them at the finish line. So these the top 3 in the British Championships, with places up for grabs for the World Half Marathon Championships in Poland at the end of the month. Jake Smith, we've already seen him, who was 3rd in the overall elite race and 2nd in the British Championship race here. So what a day for him, you have to say, and certainly a new name perhaps for a number of people. Jake Smith, 21 years old, and some good prize money as well for these athletes. Chris Thompson, 2nd in the race overall behind Bekele, and of course the first Brit home, enjoying himself. He really is a charismatic character. He's a joy to interview, always very generous with his time, and we saw again today a warm hug there with Donna Fraser. Never short of a word or two. And Chris Thompson, age 38, still striding at the top of the podium.
Now, for those keen athletics fans, last night we would have seen Abdi Abrahaman in the States at 43, making his 5th Olympic team, and I'm sure that would have been an inspiration for someone like Chris. Yeah, age isn't always a barrier that people make it out to be.
Absolutely, people still running decent marathons well into their 40s. Some people are still on the track. Bernard Lagat springs to mind. I mean, he was still heavily involved in the sub-2-hour marathon attempt and one of the pacemaking captains for Eliud Kipchoge. Well, such a bonus that the sun continues to shine here. And I think anybody associated with the big half, after 2 years of really challenging conditions, the first year there was snow in the few days before, there was a real distinct possibility the whole event might have to be postponed 2 years ago. Thankfully it wasn't. And then last year we had those really heavy winds and driving rain. So justice, I think, done here today in 2020. Clothing as well. We've talked about music and headphones. Clothing, of course, also important, isn't it? And what's the general thing about layering in a race like this?
I would say I would probably anticipate having a jacket over sort of my base layer and whipping it off halfway through. You can see a lot of these guys have gone for long sleeved under a t-shirt. I think but in my mind, I think you're going to get a little bit warm on a day like today. But yeah, to be honest, I'd say it's better to get warm than cold. You know, you can just, as long as you can stay hydrated, if you do end up sweating a lot, I'd say it's largely better to get warm than be too cold.
Good to see a few people in shorts and skins, short skins today. A few crop tops as well. Maybe a little bit ambitious for this time of the year, but again, it's whatever you're comfortable in. And back to the serious point, it is probably not a good idea to try out a brand new pair of running shoes or a new top. Better to go with the tried and tested that you've worn before.
No, absolutely. No, I think that is important. You know, there'll be some people watching this that are building towards their own half marathon or perhaps a marathon. And I would just say, don't try something brand new in your race. You've got to, and maybe have an A plan and a B plan as well. You've got your plan for if it is dry and warm, and your plan for if it's really, really wet, and that might include a jacket over the top that you might whip off and tie around your waist, or an old one that you might throw off. Often there's places to leave your clothes for charity and things like that. But it's about having some plans in action, that you don't just wake up and open the curtain and go, oh, I fancy this today.
Yeah, all these considerations, of course, very, very important. So clothing, music, sustenance, taking drinks on, and of course increasingly most people will run with their own mobile phones to record themselves in action for posterity and to send to their family and friends afterwards. And of course the celebration when you finished an event like this is great, being reunited with friends and family and going for I noticed one of the pubs, incidentally, were offering a free pint, I think, afterwards, so that's a nice gesture from them.
My local does that for the Birmingham half, if anyone does Birmingham half.
Fabulous.
But it's but how about if you're going to try out your outfit, but you're getting sponsored to do it in fancy dress?
That's true. That's a very good point.
Yeah, you have really thick skin if you're going to be trying out your fancy dress around your local neighbourhood.
Still a decent crop of runners coming through, all looking for their own individual time. Let's go back to Radzi then. Last we heard he was with some celebrities at the start. This time he's with another familiar figure, a heavyweight from a different sport entirely.
Now, when it comes to the Vitality Big Half Marathon, there are many smiles, a bit of trepidation as well. Locksmith, AK one quarter rather, of Rudimental. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling good, really good, really good. In fact, I'm lying to you. I'm tired all over. I'm dreading this, but it's going to be good fun.
What brings you here today?
You know what, to be honest with you, I got asked to do this quite a few times and I declined it. It's a once-in-a-life opportunity. You've got to give it a go, got to try and see if you're capable of doing a half marathon.
And you're a London boy yourself?
I am, born and raised East London. That's where I'm from, Hackney. So it feels good to be on these streets doing a run.
I think what's special about this is a sense of community. There's an awful lot going on, and being a music man, I imagine that means a lot to you.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up on these streets, so many cultures and different people coming together, and it's a good thing that like someone like myself is doing this, because when I was growing up, I didn't see people like me doing this kind of run. So I hope that inspires people out there to get up off the sofa and engage in this.
A lot of the films that we'll be seeing is exactly that. It's a lot about diversity today and possibly seeing a reflection of yourself to make you think, well, if they can do it, so can I.
Exactly, totally. And that's what it's about. When I was growing up on my street in East London, Hackney, I had so many cultures that was exposed to me. You know, there'll be an Irish family playing Irish folk music, there'll be a Jamaican family playing reggae, and then there'll be us playing our music with like 30 MCs in our basement, we used to call it.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that's where I'm from, and to be a part of this is a very special moment for me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here as well, Locksmith. But along with that, we have another pillar of the London community, aka the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Bruno. How are you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, very good. Very cold, but all right, sir.
Frank, you're not far from 60. How on earth are you in this kind of shape?
I'm in this kind of shape. I try and train every day, try and run in the running machine like the police is chasing me. I just try and enjoy myself, just go down the Health Farm Champions and, yeah, just try to look after yourself. If you can't look after yourself, you're in trouble, sir.
And when you say that, you're talking about mental health, but you believe that physical health, much like myself, is a really, really important part of it too.
It's very, very important. Do yoga, swimming, running, you know what I mean? Take your girlfriend upstairs, do some aerobics with her, do whatever you need to do just to get some exercise. But the main thing is looking after yourself, you know what I mean? I'm doing it for the Frank Bruno Foundation running today, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know it's obviously very important you're wearing the top now.
Yeah, the top's there, but I'm going to get in trouble for not wearing the top. But yeah, the Frank Bruno Foundation is to help people going through mental health, any sort of like mental health, bipolar, anxiety, all different things. And we're opening up in Northampton in about 6 weeks' time, sir.
And then when you had your experience being sectioned, you weren't allowed to basically exercise, and you're trying to change that.
I'm very much trying to change it because they give you all these tablets, send you to Mars and Moon and back, and side effects what they do. But they gave me more medication than anybody else, what can kill a bull, you know, give me scars, broke my ribs and whatever. There's a better way to get out of just giving tablets and injection, monging people out, looking after yourself, keeping healthy, eating right, and get yourself in the right sort of like zone. You know, because we're only here on borrowed time and we might be gone tomorrow. So while you're here, look after yourself, look after your body, your mind, and everything connects, and health is so important. So it's nice that everybody get around today. Everybody's running for all different causes, but the main thing, mental health, is fashion now. You know, everybody's coming out, and men need to come out a bit more than women, because women cry and sisters stick together and chat together and cry together. Men don't cry, they're macho. The endorphins, like they think they're brave, but it's not a shameful thing to say, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling lethargic, and it's about time men come out and talk to one another, bounce off one another, and get the pressure off. Half the battle won.
Frank, absolutely right. And for an alpha male like yourself to say that, Locksmith was just nodding throughout your entire talk there. So thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your insight. And gents, all the very best of luck. Thank you, sir. The nod from Frank means a lot to me. As hopefully you'll be able to tell as the morning progresses, the Big Half is all about togetherness and community. With that in mind, actually, Locksmith was giving back this week to those who needed it to a local school.
Cool. Right. Let's do this.
We're delighted to be here today at St Paul's Primary School in Wapping, just down the road from where the Vitality Big Half will start on this Sunday. And we're here with Locksmith, the musician, the DJ from Rudimental, who's working with one of our charity partners, the Felix Project.
So I'm running the Virgin Money London Marathon. Part of my training is doing the Vitality Big Half. Also part of the preparation is eating healthy, hence why we love the Felix Project. Some of these foods that we've got would have been surplus, you know, they would have gone to waste, but they're perfectly fine to use, perfectly fine to eat. And so it feels good to actually be giving back and helping the Felix Project give back to the kids. So, you guys going to help us out here?
Sure. Yes. Sure.
Yeah? Well, you got to help me mostly because I'm new to this, so you can help us help you.
Let's do it. We are running a market stall where we've brought a lot of food that would otherwise have gone to waste, and it's all being made available for pupils and their families to take home and enjoy it, basically. It's been a great day, really, really great day.
Right, who wants a tomato?
So it's really great to come here and see Locksmith and the Felix Project get together and help these children in distributing the food that they collect. The Vitality Big Half works with hundreds of different charities, with people participating, raising lots of money for lots of different good causes.
Great story, heartwarming stuff there. And well, approaching 2 hours actually exactly since the gun fired earlier today on the highway just north of Tower Bridge, and still these runners have a little bit of work to do, but well, it's good to see, isn't it? Many of these people perhaps running this full distance for the first time. Reminder, we've got other distances as part of the festival of running this weekend, the Big Half, made up of the Little Half as well, and the Big Mile, the festival. There's a relay race as well. So whatever your chosen distance, whatever your target, there's something we hope for you. And it doesn't matter what the finishing time is, but 2 hours on the clock, and these people coming towards the end of their Sunday morning run.
That's it. That is a tangible mark you can take back into the office tomorrow, isn't it? That's what everyone wants to know. How did it go? How did it go? And actually, yeah, I broke that 2-hour marathon, so.
So these runners still have a little bit of a way to go. Let's just remind ourselves then of the elite results today. We've seen the presentations and the medal ceremony. So here we are, confirmation of the results of the third Big Half and the women's wheelchair race, won by Shelley Woods on her return to action today. Terrific performance and a convincing win there, Hannah, today by what, over 3 minutes.
Yes, and you wonder how much she might have had in there with a bit more challenge. And then in Eden Rainbow Cooper coming in second place, and Mel Nichols a fantastic third place as well for her. Yeah, the 42-year-old, all the experience there. So they're the top three in the women's wheelchair elite race. In the men's, well, Brent Lakatos, a new course record there, smashing the previous mark held by David Weir, who had to settle for second place today. And then very much his disciple, one of the young rising stars of British men's wheelchair racing, John Boy Smith, coming home. He was due to be competing in Tokyo at the full marathon last month, but decided for safety reasons not to risk the outbreak of coronavirus. So had a lot of training, of course, in his arms, and so decided to come here and pit his wits in the Big Half, and a third place here today. David Weir in preparation for the London Marathon, of course, in 8 weeks' time. But well done today for Brent Lakatos. And the women's race, well, thrilling, wasn't it, in the end? And Lily Partridge, Hannah, you felt that she was a worthy winner today. Yeah, I think she placed herself incredibly well. Really cool, calm sort of competitor there, coming out on top in a really good time. But just on Samantha Harrison, we touched on before, holding on really, really well to take a new PB. I think it's our 42nd PB for Samantha Harrison. But Stephanie Davis, we already knew she was good over the marathon, the 2:27, but she's really sort of thrown her name in the mix there with I think a PB of over 90 seconds to take third place in the race. And all three of these girls, these ladies, if they want it, that's an automatic spot for the World Half Marathon Championships in a month's time.
Those championships in Poland, and let's just wrap things up with the men's result. Jake Smith in third place, the youngster, the 21-year-old, coming through in 72 seconds dead. Chris Thompson had a terrific run, didn't he? Really aggressive from the start, kept shoulder to shoulder with Kenenisa Bekele for the first half of the race, but then the Ethiopian, the 5,000 and 10,000 metre world record holder, still the second fastest man over the marathon distance, cutting loose 60.22, a new course record for Kenenisa Bekele. Well, terrific stuff. So that's the wheelchair captions. Let's catch up with some of those winners. Let's join Rachel here, who's been talking to the winners of the wheelchair races in the last few minutes.
Congratulations there on that victory. Course record as well, I've just heard. Makes it even better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really exciting. No, it's great conditions out there. A little bit of wind, but some sun, no rain, so yeah, nice.
What was the key to your victory today?
I've been training really well the last couple months, and so I think my stamina is in really good shape, and I was able to, with maybe 5 miles to go, give a good kick from the front and take it that way.
And you just told me there you took part 2 years ago, came fourth on that occasion. How different was this outing?
That one was also, the weather picked up right before the race, so it was good conditions. There's probably a little bit windier, but maybe that suited me because I've been training well.
Absolutely. And you're married to Steph Reed, obviously Paralympian for GB. Is she watching today? Is she giving you any words before you went out there to race?
Yep, she was with me in the warm-up beforehand, and she'll be in the tent back there.
What's next for you this season?
London Marathon, so do this course in the other direction.
Big ambitions there as well?
I hope so. London's a tough course, lots of hills, lots of turns and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I did well now today, so it's a good indicator for London.
Absolutely did. That win and the course record. Go and enjoy that on Brent.
Thank you.
Well, when it comes to wheelchair racing, some men require no introduction, and David Weir absolutely won. 8 times London Marathon champion. Wasn't to be today, by the way. How was the race compared to last year, because you're defending champion?
Yeah, it was tough conditions still. It was still a bit breezy. I thought after Tower Bridge we were going to get a tail win, but we didn't, and it was quite a strange win. It kept changing. I've just had I've had a good winter, but I haven't been ill or injuries and stuff like that, so that's been good. It's just I haven't been out enough for me outside doing the mileage that I wanted to do. So, but I'm not going to complain because, you know, it's my first race in 4 months from New York Marathon in November. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next couple of months and see how it goes. I'm off to Spain for some training, so
nice.
I'm looking forward to that, to be honest.
So it might look sunny here, but let me tell you, it is a bit chilly, it has to be said. Do you actually feel the rust when you're coming into a race, perhaps not with that experience behind you?
Yeah, you have to get race fit. It's different from training, you know. It's the nerves, you get the nerves in the morning and stuff like that, so it's totally different to training. So it's good, it just blows out the cobwebs for me, and this happened 2 years ago, and then I won London Marathon, so I'm not too worried. I'm looking forward to getting out to Spain and having a little bit of, you know, warm weather, dry, and getting some miles under my tank.
One thing I'd love to talk briefly about is that the whole premise of this event, the Vitality Big Half, is about community, and that seems to be very much the case within the wheelchair community. Is that the case because the racers are so supportive of each other and encouraging?
Yeah, we are. You know, we're one big family. We help out each other. You know, if someone comes out with a new idea or a chair, you're all looking, and they're not frightened to tell you how it's made. Or, you know, some sports will be a bit secretive and won't tell you, but you know, I just want to help the next generation, and you know, with my academy based in Kingston, for me, I just want to see, you know, Eden come second today, and she's part of my academy. So that's my job role now. I feel if I can still go out and prove that I'm still good, and they look up to me, and then they train a little bit harder. So I just want to help everyone succeed in the sport, you know.
It's not all past tense. You might be a legend, but you're still competing. You've got your 21st London Marathon in a month's time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I've got a few marathons before that. Paris, hopefully, if it goes ahead. And then Boston, London. So Boston, London is only 6 days in between. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. So, yeah, it's a busy couple of months coming up.
Final question, Dave. For any people who might be watching at home who perhaps want to give wheelchair racing a go, what would you say to them?
Just, you know, find a local club, get in a chair, and just enjoy it, because it's a sport. It's a great sport. It's gave me the opportunity to travel the world and meet some amazing people, and it just makes you feel good about yourself as well. You know, being disabled is, you know, you can do every single sport now, and that's what's great. And I just found a love for wheelchair racing, and I know that the sport's growing in the country, which is great.
Dave, you're an inspiration. Thank you for your time, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Shelley, congratulations. Your first time competing at the Vitality Big Half and a win to boot.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. It's the first time here, so I just love being back in London. Done the London Marathon a couple of times, so it's a bit different though, because this one you're kind of going backwards on yourself instead of the usual London Marathon course, but no, it was good.
And good to be back. And good to be back racing as well, because obviously we know you had your son back in 2018 when this event started, so you haven't had much experience here. Just talk us through, I guess, the processes you've gone through in that time to get back to the form you're in now.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. It's not easy being among the best of times, but yeah, trying to get back into some world-class shape. But you know, I miss the sport being away, and you know, I love health and fitness, and like I work part-time as a personal trainer, so it's kind of in me, like just sport. So you know, I'm young still as well. I'm 33, and most of the races the women go on nowadays for quite a few years. So I just thought I'd come back and see what happens. But yeah, no, it's not easy, just juggling everything. It's a big balancing act. But if you can get that balance right, then yeah, no, it's definitely worth it.
Well done today, and go and enjoy that win and celebrate with your little son, Leo.
Thank you.
Who would have ever expected the 1st of March to deliver weather like this? Blue skies, not a drop of rain, a tiny bit of wind. And I'll tell you, you can see it with all the runners, so many smiles on their faces. But significantly, the support this crowd have offered. Now, if we look at the support here, probably goes back 5 people deep. But if I ask you to look all the way down the line, it really is as far as the eye can see, because this event is all about unity and togetherness. If you are just joining us, however, it's easy to forget there was an elite women's race. It was fantastic, and it was safe to say there were 3 women that stood above the rest.
Watch is ready, and we are away. The 3rd running of the big...
You have company if you're a female here. Look at this Harrison. Yeah, they've got a really strong group here, and if there is any wind out there that could be making this...
Female runners are getting perhaps closer and closer.
Yeah, I think then.
Steph Davis then over the Tower Bridge. It was Samantha Harrison, remember, who made the early running, but there was just a sense that she was being reeled in, and so it proved. Lily Partridge showing all her experience and that warm weather training in Spain coming to the fore, and eventually she did in fact pass Samantha Harrison, and then really put down the pedal there, just outside her own personal best, but not by much. And after finishing 2nd and 5th in recent years, it was victory for Lily Partridge at the 3rd attempt. A terrific performance with Sam Harrison coming through in 2nd place. A really creditable performance from the Notts AC. Brilliant. And afterwards, she spoke
the Vitality
to
Big Half champion, Lily Partridge. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. It's a massive confidence boost. It's the fastest I've ever run in a marathon build-up, so I'm in a good place. Things are going well, and I feel like I've got more to go. When I ran in 2018, when I felt like I was flying, I only ran 71. So to get close to a PB and run faster than that and not feel like I'm flying is a good place to be 8 weeks out.
So on the start line, how were you feeling then? Did you always feel like you had that in the tank?
I knew I was in good shape. I knew training had gone well, but it's quite hard sometimes when you're a marathon work to judge, because you're in such big miles that it's sort of like everything can be a little hit and miss. But I feel strong, I feel in a good place, so I'm looking forward to getting back and getting some more work in now.
And what's next for you?
London Marathon. Well, hopefully World Half Marathon. Well, that's automatic qualifying, so World Half Marathon and then London Marathon.
And one final question. Many people watching this won't be marathon or half marathon experts. Do you have a top tip for them?
Just enjoy the process. I think I say to a lot of people when they're training for a marathon, especially if it's their first one, is just enjoy the process of preparing for the race. Like, the race is going to happen, and you'll be surprised at how robust your body is on the day. But just focus on enjoying the process, because I think that means you turn up on the line ready to go and excited, rather than I can't wait to get this over and done with.
I love that, Lily. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, huge anticipation in the men's race, of course. Kenenisa Bekele, the greatest track athlete we've ever seen, and Chris Thompson, one of the most enduring British athletes on the road, and well, very much a 2-horse race. And in the early stages, Chris Thompson went out really aggressively there. Kenenisa through Canary Wharf, just steadying himself after threatening to lose his balance. But Chris Thompson eventually moved ahead on the cobbles through Wapping, but then over Tower Bridge around the halfway mark, Kenenisa Bekele just stepped on the gas, and from there he didn't look back through 12 miles, and he sensed the course record was in the offing, and indeed it proved to be the case. Chris Thompson coming home in second place.
One of the true greats of distance running, Kenenisa Bekele, now the big Vitality half marathon champion. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. So, was great race. I'm enjoying it a lot. So, was great race. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, we're very happy to see you running and see you running so well. How were the conditions out there?
Condition was a little bit freezing. There is windy also, so it was difficult to stay alone. There is no pace, so it was okay, you know. I won the race. I'm very happy.
This year there's a lot of talk about the world record for the marathon going. Could you be one of the men really trying to push for that?
Of course, I'm preparing myself for London Marathon, so hopefully, you know, will be a great race. I'm gonna see everyone, you know. I'm preparing myself.
Well, we'll very much look forward to seeing that, Kenenisa. Thank you very much for your time and congratulations again. But I've got to talk to the man who came in second and pushed him for a very long time. That you were saying earlier on, you could hear him breathing.
Yeah, no, today was about racing. I felt like I was in reasonable nick, and I wanted to isolate the cream pretty early doors. That's why I was a bit quick. And listen, I'll treat any athlete the same. And he was breathing hard. He's a tough character. After 2 miles, I could hear him breathing, and then we started getting into a to and fro. And I could tell, you know, he wasn't totally at ease. And I knew he was on his last surge when he tried to do the rope-a-dope on me between mile 5 and 6. And he tried to and I knew what he was doing, so I thought, right, that's fine. I'll just relax. Don't do anything silly. He's trying to make me make an effort, so he'll go. But when he went, he just was that little bit strong, and then after that, the gap was reasonable, but I could tell that was his last, and I thought if I can compose myself, I might have a shot of getting further with him, and I had to kind of go into damage limitation for a few miles because it wasn't an easiest of day, but as a race, I'm proud. I treat him like anyone else. I could read him well. He just was the stronger guy, and like I said, hearing ex-world record, or is he? I feel embarrassed now. Is he world record?
He doesn't have the marathon or half?
Marathon.
Marathon, he doesn't have it. Eliud Kipchoge.
But to hear him breathe like that, that's the kind of stuff I, live for. To hear athletes, I've had Kip saying, I've heard him breathing. I know, well, with what happened to him, I beat him last year, but anyway. So, listen, I'm really chuffed to have had a good race today. Times are irrelevant, don't care. Listen, I'm in a good place. Haven't been like this for a while, so let's move on.
Mate, it's good to see you in a good place. Can I ask you about when you say reading? A lot of people I think would be quite interested to know when you say you can read somebody. What are you actually looking for?
So, athletes have tells, like in any sport, and I don't just run. I think a lot, and that takes years of learning and understanding. And it's not something you can just, I coach a couple of guys, and you don't just pass on it. And it's the same for everyone. You have to read in different ways, and you react in different ways. Listening to breathing, I don't give too many secrets, but knowing how their quirkiness, I know Bekele does the rope, he did it to Mo and Gebrselassie a few years back, and I was actually commentating on that, and I could tell, and so it's little things like that you remember, because it matters, like the littlest bit of a tilt in your direction makes a bit, like as soon as he got an edge, he took 100 metres out of me very quickly, and that could have been the other way, and I've done that to people when I've not felt great, so it's trusting the other guys in a hole yourself, and just getting those tails, like I say, the way they move. These shoes have changed the game, and I'm still getting used to how people react to that. And like today, without being controversial, everyone was in like neutral shoes. That could have been a different race today because everyone reacts, you're reading things differently. So I'm getting used to that, but that's the fun part of it. For me, that's why I stand on the line to race, compete, listen, and I'm sure a lot of athletes at home, I'm getting told to wrap up. Sorry, I'm boring people, but
mate, you're absolutely not. It's great.
Well, you've enjoyed yourself anyway.
Mate, if no one else has, I have.
Let's go and grab a beer and talk more.
It's done. I'll speak to you later on.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Just look at this here. We are very much in the hubbub of the energy here. And actually behind me here, we've got some young people from local communities that are cheering and high-fiving every single person as they cross the finish line, because today is about congratulation. For some people, it's simply about crossing the finish line. For some people, it might be about personal best. But for others, and I think it's safe to say, in fact, all of us here, we're bringing communities together, no more so than with a fantastic project that's called Runderbolt.
Then hello to everyone. My name is Prithvi, this is Y, and we got a big boss, that's Y.
Namaste, kamusta? Hey, what you say in Runderbolt?
Hi guys, my name's Rudin. I'm the founder of Runderbolts, and we are a community that uses running as a tool to bring people together. So I first started running to get fit for football. Then I started doing 10Ks, half marathons. Then the Nepal earthquake hit, and I really wanted to make a difference. So what I did was I came up with the idea of running from Westfield Stratford to Westfield White City. I saw such an amazing impact on the community, so many people with positive vibes. It was like some sort of magic. So that's why I started Runderbolts, to continue that magic and spread that positivity to the world.
These are called Mendo balls, Mendo energy balls. Mendo means flower in my mom's tribal language, and Mendo is also the word for amaranth and tamang. And so we're using that as sort of representative of different parts of Nepal.
So the way we do our runs is we make them like a treasure hunt. We give people the opportunity to work together as a team on some really fun challenges. There's so many different creative, fun stuff for them to get involved in. So it's never to do with speed or ego, it's just about bringing people together. So we're at the goat statue checkpoint up here in Spitalfields Market. So they have to award someone a trophy saying why they deserve it and why they're the greatest of all time.
So the trophy goes to Sujan, the GOAT, completed his masters, 5 years there, aerospace engineering. Yeah. Watch out.
If we have a challenge to do with drawing a picture, for example, there might be an artist in your group or someone creative. And if they've taken that extra time, let's say they've taken 10 minutes on that drawing, they're going to get extra points than the person that just squiggled quickly and tried to get to the finish line. So we make it fun for you. You have to work out clues to get to the next destination. You might have to find a diamond, you might have to draw a picture, and it always ends at a party.
Use your magic torch to unveil the location of your invitation to the Breathe after party. Yo, 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 gang. Go and meet up with Emperor Trajan. You got your Breathe after party.
The Emperor's holding you. So they haven't clocked it yet.
Yeah?
This is the end place. This is where all the, participators together over here. And now we're gonna find out who's the winner and who named this. Stay tuned.
Okay, we are the group that came first.
The reason we really want to do the Big Half is because it's different than any other event. It's inclusive, it celebrates diversity, and it's a good bridge between the communities on the ground that are doing work like us and other run clubs. It's an amazing bridge between proper running and community running and people that just want to get out, get active and spread the positivity.
And the pictures you're seeing there pretty much sum up the whole sentiment of Runderbolt. And two men you might just recognise, Chris and Sammy. Now, you actually haven't seen the film yet, have you?
No, we haven't, yeah. So it'll be my first time when I'll have a look on iPlayer.
And obviously, of course, this is all available on iPlayer. But in a nutshell, how would you describe what it is that you're trying to do?
It's actually like the community run for us. So Runderbolt's objective has always been like to meet and run in a fun way. So that was the main objective of the Runderbolt. So it's quite fun. It's my first time running in a half marathon.
How was it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the atmosphere, The temperature is just perfect. The people, good vibes.
You look like you haven't even started. You both look very, very fresh. What does running and what does Roundabout actually mean to you?
Running, for me personally, I get to free my mind, and I've always been into running, so it's my hobby. Together with Roundabouts, we encourage everyone, no matter where you're from, what background, race, religion, all throughout the corners of life. We get together and we try and promote this healthy lifestyle, and that's what we're all about, really.
Earlier we spoke to Frank Bruno, and he was talking about the importance of running in mental health as well, and it seems that's really true with what you guys do.
Yes, that's actually true. It's actually what we actually don't just run. So we have like a run in a fun way. So we have like some sort of like task where we need to communicate with one another and just be more like go beyond our comfort zone. Just try to introduce to mingle around with the people that you've never met. So it's quite in a fun way. It's quite good for the mental health out.
Yeah, so what we try and do is basically, instead of going for a straight 5K run where you're constantly running, we set up events every month, and it's just like you get given tasks and clues, whether it's, high-fiving random strangers or, finding out clues written on a wall. It's just trying to make it more fun rather than just straight running, because for some people, they might feel a lot for them, and that's pretty much what we do, really.
So using running to overcome something almost bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and by the end of it, a lot of people don't realise how far they've actually run, because it comes to a shock to them, and whilst they're having fun as well at the same time. So, yeah.
Well, Chris and Summer, thank you for your time, and you're going to get a free high five from me.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
thank you very
well
much.
done, gents. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers.
Well, we talk about this event having a festival feel. Well, this is the festival. This is the Vitality Big Half Festival in Greenwich Park, as you can see. And it is getting busier by the moment because all the runners will come and congregate here after their big half, and they can kind of enjoy the atmosphere, which you can see is building, and just kind of sit back and think of what they've achieved this morning, which is completing their half marathons. And there is so much to do down here. You can probably hear some music going on. We have the Vitality big stage just behind me, and 9 up-and-coming artists from the local community will get a chance to perform over there on the stage, so do listen out for them. And we have so many more things going on as well. So we've got a tent over there with the tumbler on. You might have seen that. That is a chance to pitch your running ability up against the world record marathon pace, okay? So if you think you've got some speed in your legs after your half marathon, heading over to the tent over there. Then we have a cooking tent over here, which is going to be serving up lots of healthy options. So you want to see if you can learn some new healthy options for your home a bit later on, which you can take home on your Sunday afternoon. Then you can head over there as well. Free massages for anybody who has ran the half marathon today. So basically, so much going on. Lots of healthy food options over there as well. And it's kind of getting close to midday, so I might go and get myself something to eat as well. But guys, this is the place to be. So you are down in Greenwich this afternoon. This is going on till 4 p.m. and there really is something for everyone.
Yeah, lovely stuff from Rachel. Thanks very much indeed. Approaching, what, 2.5 hours since the gun went at 9 o'clock this morning, and Hannah England alongside me. Still they come thick and fast.
They do, and I bet they're looking forward to getting to that run festival in Greenwich. I think they're going to have a nice afternoon in the sunshine down there.
Well, it's taken us 3 years to really have this whole festival of running come together, and the elements, as we mentioned, the last couple of years rather conspired against us. But today, well, as Radzi said, don't be fooled. It's not warm, but it is at least sunny. And what a way to finish off when you've completed perhaps your first ever half marathon, maybe for many people the furthest they've ever run in the world, in your life. And relaxing with some food and perhaps a pint of something afterwards is a nice way to finish.
Yeah, it's just that, and I love the transformation of running. For a lot of people that did running at school, you get that a lot. Oh, I hated running. Oh, yeah, I used to hate running at school. And I really love that transformation we've got in the country at the minute, that people can really see it for the simple but beautiful sport that it is. And yeah, I'm biased, I love it. But it's great to see it turning into a family event like this, that you can do something that's healthy, that involves everyone. You can go out and support someone else that's running and just have a really nice day. And if you do want to dress up in a costume that adds 4 feet to your height, you can do that at the same time.
Well, I'm lucky enough to cover marathons and events all over the world, and I can tell you there's nowhere in the world that does fancy dress and worthy causes as well as this country does. Absolutely extraordinary amounts of money raised for charity and worthy causes, and if that means dressing up and making yourself perhaps uncomfortable and looking, some might say, slightly ridiculous, well, so be it.
I didn't realise it wasn't as common around the world.
It's not, no,
Is it not?
absolutely not, no. It's a very British thing. And, well, the steel band, I have to say, still brings hairs on the back of your neck. It's a wonderful, wonderful sound. And if you turn a corner and the wind's blowing in the right direction, you get a waft of that. It's absolutely moves your spirits. Some very, very sore feet tomorrow morning.
But I wonder how many people will take that finishing medal around with them the rest of the week. As I always say, it's turning that transformation of something that people dread, and it had a very negative connotation sort of, a few decades ago, into a celebration, into a celebratory event. And it's great to see people interacting with us on social media as well, and congratulating the people they know or they love, and just telling them how fantastic it is that they've achieved a half marathon today.
Still a little bit of a way to go, sir, but you're on the right direction. 15,000 people, just to remind you, taking part in the various events today. We've had the elite races, they've long finished, but well, this is about so much more than the elite end of this event, and so much money being raised for charity. We heard from Frank Buno, and interesting to hear also from some of the celebrities about the impact of running and getting out and physical activity on mental health and mental well-being.
No, absolutely. It can just make you feel so great. And if anyone's watching today and you've never ran, or you think, I can't run, I really hope you can just look at all these wonderful people out there today having a go at it. And it doesn't matter what your, within reason, what your age is, or what your fitness level is, that running is accessible to everybody. All you need is a pair of shoes, ideally a pair of trainers, and you can have a go.
We should sound a note of caution, though, of course, as well. You can't just go straight into running a half marathon. You need to build up sensibly, starting with shorter distances.
Oh, seriously, Mike, you're not very fast.
Brilliant, look at that. There's a showman. There's a budding Mo Farah. Walking briskly, of course, is allowed.
Encouraged. That's much kinder way to do it on your joints, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yeah, and anybody who's worried should maybe get a health check before starting out. But yeah, build up from up to 5K, maybe set yourself a park run as the initial goal, and then build slowly up towards a 10K. And then there's a 10 mile, I suppose, that fits in between that, and then eventually work up to a half marathon like some of these people are today. I recognise that person. I honestly do. She's doing well. My local swimming club. But the community feel, I hope, from these pictures coming through today, really getting people from the 4 boroughs all coming together, and well, what a great vantage point that is from the famous T-Clipper, Cutty Sark, at the finish. And of course, when you see those famous sails, you know you've done the job.
I wonder if this the Paris half marathon got cancelled today with risks over with concerns over the coronavirus. I think they put a ban in of gatherings of over 5,000 people. They decided to strongly discourage or ban stuff like that. I wonder if this individual was meant to be somewhere else today.
Absolutely, maybe a short hop on Eurostar over from Paris today. Yeah, that was a real shame.
No, it is a concern. It's just fantastic to see this go ahead today, and all these runners get a chance to stretch their legs over half a marathon.
We'll be heading to Radzig very shortly. He's going to catch up with Locksmith, who we believe has just finished in the last few minutes. So we'll try and establish communication with Radzig very shortly. Plenty of water, of course, being taken on today, and the 3 Ds have been very much has been advertised today. The Triple D, drink, drain and drop. So trying to make sure that the footprint, if you like, on this race is kept to a minimum. And you were mentioning just before we came on air that there'll be no goodie bags, and they're trying to keep really the environmental impact of races like this to an absolute minimum. Well, Radzi has been catching up with Locksmith. Let's try and get his views. He's just finished in the last few minutes. Locksmith now, here he is with Radzi.
I love that. Yes, yes.
So just after you've run a half marathon, we're going to do an interview again to make you feel tired. Locksmith, how are you feeling?
All right, mate, I'm absolutely shattered. It was a great experience, though. You go through so many emotions, ups and downs. This guy, Greg, running ahead, I'm like, stop, relax. Don't know what you're trying to prove. Speed up. But if he wasn't doing that, I don't know if I would have continued, so thank you for that, Greg. You would have.
And Professor Greg White, just a bit of context here. You've trained David Williams when it came to the Channel Swim, Davina McCall, Lindsay from Blue Peter.
Yeah.
What's the process been like?
It's been great, and he's a great pupil. And I think the bottom line is what today shows, that if you commit to something and you put the hard work in and the effort, you reap the rewards. And for Locksmith today, he's absolutely smashed it, so it was a great day for him.
You're the perfect person to ask this, because obviously he's got the London Marathon ahead. When it comes to setting challenges, what do you think are the keys to actually achieving those?
Well, I think it's actually making sure that the challenge is achievable, but it has to be challenging. So I think, critically on the London Marathon, the great thing for this is that Locksmith started off on 5K, went to 10K, now at half marathon, next step is the marathon. So it's just about making it small steps.
You what?
I'll tell you that.
I don't know about this.
and these guns don't look like Eliud Kipchoge. You're carrying a lot of mass around.
Mate, it felt like I was carrying someone on my back last quarter. Jeez, no, great experience, loved it.
Locksmith, Greg, thank you for your time. Congratulations, and we'll see you in London Marathon.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Right, if I'm going to say anything, if you're looking on TV and you're looking at, I'll never be able to do a marathon, you can. You just got to believe it, be consistent, and it's an achievable goal that anybody can do. Look at myself. Do I look like a runner? Am I built for a runner? No, but I'm out here running like a plonker, but I loved it.
Well done, Jake. Cheers. Really good to see you, man. Yeah. Good. You're doing a great job on the sport, man. I'm loving it.
So you may see many people here with a number of T-shirts. They're representing communities, they're representing groups of people that mean an awful lot to them. But there's one group, black T-shirts, white writing, you'll see them running throughout, beaming with pride, and that's because they are all running with purpose.
It's over right now. It's over right now, yes.
Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm a I don't even know what to say that. I'm getting... Got this, bro. Come on. Okay. Hi, my name is Morgan. Today I run with purpose. I'm a runner, I'm a Londoner. As well as those things, I do suffer with depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts at times.
There he is.
Yeah.
This is the boss.
So this is where everyone gathers. So we're going to head to our meeting point, and then that's where we're going to do announcements and then head for the run. So everyone's here, as you can see.
Nee and I have had our own kind of mental health struggles. I gave Nee a call one day and I said, hey, so I've noticed that we have this thing in common. Would it not be great to start a running group just for men? Because where Nee and I are from, we're from an area where social stigmas kind of prevail, where if you tell guys what you're going through, they'll say, man up. So we thought, hey, let's start this thing for men and create a space where they can come together and be vulnerable and real about what they're going through.
And then after that we have...
So, just before we start, we have someone who hasn't been here for a very long time back. I was travelling. We have Richard with us.
Hey, Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes!
Richard joining us for the first time. Kieran joining us for the second time.
We've had one guy who attended our run, and he actually said that he faced a lot of mental health depressions, and what he actually encountered before the run, a week before our first run, someone in his family committed suicide. And he said when he attended our run, that was the first time he allowed himself to express and let out all the emotion that he had within him. And this is what we at Run With Purpose do. You know, we allow guys to express themselves, open up.
How can you overcome all the challenges that you're facing now and become a better person? Who are some of the people that maybe you could reach out to and apologize or build a bond with or work with? How can you be a better person this upcoming week? And how can you use the people around you to help you do that?
Being able to have those honest takes on your life is just something that you're just going to say, right, I can get through this because I've got a real support network around me that they don't need to say anything, but I know they're there. That's what that whole moment is. Just people locking arms saying, you're going through this, but you're not by yourself, and we're here to go and listen to you and be listened to.
What are we here to do, guys?
Run with purpose!
One of the great things with Run With Purpose is we've made it quite clear from the get-go that anyone is welcome. As people come from every single background, we've noticed them connect in a way that is just incredible.
What are we here to do? Run with purpose! What are we here to do? Run with purpose!
So I love what the Vitality Big Half are doing because it aligns with one of our goals, which is to enable people from diverse backgrounds to come together and run together, as well as tackling anxiety, depression and mental health issues. Now, they get to see that, hey, there's actually others that look like me that are also into running.
Come on! Come on, guys! Nice! Yeah! Well done! That 10K run.
This is so funny. This is so funny.
Together we support each other. It's also a lot of fun, and it's already a community that I feel is only going to go from strength to strength from here. And I'm really grateful to have found the group in the last month and looking forward to the future with them.
Now, 13.1 miles, safe to say it's a long distance, but I'm going to come to you at the end, my friend, representing Run With Purpose, because you look like a man who's run 13.1 miles. How are you feeling?
Right now, I'm exhausted, to say the least. It was a great experience. I think doing it, now that I've done it, I don't think I'll do it again. But I think with the mantra, Run With Purpose, I mean, it means something. So when I was at the 90K mark and I was thinking to start walking, I just kept going. Do you know what I mean? Because there's something bigger than us, so yeah.
And that is the whole premise of what you guys do, because, again, just before we came live, you were hands on your knees, you were tired.
Yeah. I mean, like he said, there was many times I wanted to stop, but, you know, Run With Purpose is about pushing on, it's about perseverance. It's about knowing that, you know, you can go the extra step. And there was many times I could have stopped and, you know, I was just pushing through. I'm happy I done it. You know, I've never done something like this before. Probably done like 5K before, so to do this is amazing. And to do it with the brothers as well, to finish strong as well, it's fantastic, man.
And when you say brothers, you guys are a family, but in the film you talk about the fact that you don't often see reflections of yourself at events like this, but here you are doing exactly that, being a reflection.
I mean, running with purpose is about a mental state, not only for running, but for more in life. So when you're running at 21 point, I don't even know how many, and you see some of your brothers, it spurs you to go on, keep running. You just want to get to the finish line, see all your family, and we're a community. So, you know, it's always a good time at the finish line, celebrate with everyone.
We see 3 words written on your T-shirt, on your chest. What does it mean to you?
I think run with purpose means to run with the ability knowing that you can do everything and nothing can stop you. Like my boys were saying, there was times when I just wanted to give up, but I just thought about run with purpose, and that's what kept me going. You know, there's a purpose to everything, and that's what kept me going through.
And so tomorrow you'll have a few aches, a few pains, but you're doing it for a bigger cause. For anyone who'd like to get involved, what can they do?
First of all, follow us on Instagram, Run With Purpose, LDN, our website as well, and get involved. Don't be scared to run. Come through. You can do this too. Let's go.
Yes, gents. Run with purpose, boys. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.
Yes, lads. Well done. Thank you. I don't envy your knees tomorrow. And as well as Run With Purpose, you also have a variety of acts and a variety of trusts even. One is the London Marathon Charitable Trust. Now they do work, look at these guys here enjoying themselves. That is what this is all about. But it's also about giving back, which the London Charitable Trust do throughout the year as well as today. And something you may have seen was a very special creation which happened only 6 months ago, and that was last summer.
So we're here in Greenwich Park for the opening of the Greenwich Park Playground on a beautiful first day of the school holidays, which is absolutely fantastic.
There's been a playground in Greenwich Park since at least 1900. Part of this park had a sand beach here and it was popular with families. In a way, we've turned back the clock and we've reintroduced the beach to Greenwich Park 100 years after it was removed.
It's nice, really nice, especially on a hot day like this, having some sand and some water. I think it's more interactive.
And you can make sand castles.
Can.
There are a number of people who have less access to play facilities, either because of physical difficulties. This playground here has been designed to ensure that it's accessible to all.
So we're launching our summer activities. They're about to start running, which will include a series of events for young people with autism and then more family-focused events as well.
The London Marathon Charitable Trust has been a really good partner to us if you look back for many, many years in doing capital works across the Royal Parks. And this is a key example. Over 400,000 people use this playground already per year. You can easily see that becomes 500,000 people. So the investment, the return you're getting is immense for London.
The Trust is very pleased to have contributed over £300,000 towards the development of this play area. And I think you can see how popular it is, the number of people who are here, people of all ages and abilities. It meets all the criteria of the London Marathon Charitable Trust.
Gracie loves the park. Gracie is an outdoor child, so just be able to go out inclusive, that's all we want, that's all we've ever wanted.
Well, I have two people next to me now who have both had crucial roles to play in the development of that park. We have Sarah Ridley from the London Marathon Charitable Trust and Graham Deere, he's the manager of Greenwich Park. Thanks for both joining us. But Sarah, I'm going to come to you first. And just to to tell us about the role between the London Marathon and the Big Half.
Yes, so the Big Half is one of 13 events organised by London Marathon Events Limited. That company is owned by the Charitable Trust, and as a result, all of the profit that's generated from the events company comes to the Charitable Trust. Both organisations' objective is to inspire activity, and last year we were able to give away £11.6 million to projects like the park project that we're talking about today.
And how great it is to see it all in full force like it is now.
It is absolutely amazing, and I think it has changed radically. The facility that's been here for many, many years, but engaging young people in activity in a very different and exciting way.
Absolutely. And Graham, just tell us about the park. I know it's just a stone's throw behind us over there. What impact have you seen it have on the community so far?
Well, we've really benefited from the grant from London Marathon Trust to refurbish the playground, and I should say we've got a long-standing relationship with London Marathon. We're the start of the annual London Marathon, the finish at St James's Park in front of Buckingham Palace, and of course we've got the Big Half Festival here today, which is going really well. Going back to the playground, the refurbishment has been such a success. We've put in a lot more natural play and sand play. It's been specifically designed to integrate children with abilities and those with disabilities so they can play together. Since we opened in September, our visitor numbers have gone up by 30%. So last year we did 400,000. This year we're going to top 500,000 children going to that playground. And again, funded by the London Marathon Trust, we are working with London Play to do outreach to families and encourage people to parents and children to see it as a playground, to actually see the whole park as a playground and all the benefits that comes for sort of social play, but not just for the kids, but actually for the parents too.
So it really couldn't have been done without the grant from the London Marathon Charitable Trust?
Without that grant, we wouldn't have the new playgrounds, Rachel, no.
And just like today, seeing this festival going on, what does it mean to, I guess, both parties?
This is so exciting. I mean, the playground is often the first place that young children learn to be active. Being active is a benefit for the rest of one's life, and hopefully some of the people who play in the playground today will end up doing the big half marathon, for the physical and mental health benefits that come.
Graham, you're the manager here. Have you got a chance to enjoy it all yet?
I just had a look around. I love the African band on there. They've got some really nice food over there. This is what parks are for. This is the first day of spring. Couldn't be better.
It is. The weather is here. It's looking brilliant, guys. Thank you for chatting us and go and enjoy the day.
So these are the sights and the sounds of the Big Half Marathon, all supported by Foam Fingers, with music, with bands, with DJs and community for support from start to finish. However, next month will be the even bigger one, 26.2 miles, which can only mean one thing. It's the London Marathon.
40 iconic races, endless tales of inspiration and determination, the trailblazers, and those crazy costumed fundraisers. Breaking down barriers and breaking records. They prove nothing is impossible. From a race in outer space to the man who was out of this world. 1 million medals earned and £1 billion raised. The true spirit of London for the world to see. From friends and family to the royal family, they all pack the streets for London's iconic race. The greatest race, the 40th race.
That indeed is the London Marathon taking place. Hello, madam, how are you? People are very, very excited here. And why not? And they'll be even more excited in next month's London Marathon, which features arguably the greatest ever marathon runner, a man with the world record in the marathon, the Olympic champion in the marathon, a man who made history at the Ineos Challenge 159, running the first ever sub-2-hour marathon. And earlier on, he spoke all about the marathon, and his name is Eliud Kipchoge.
Time of 1 hour 59:40.2. An incredible feat.
I always treat myself as the best competitor. Although, when the whole elite are there is a big pressure because everybody is there, everyone is working hard, everybody is coming to London to be number one in London, and there is actually, I don't think there is anybody who is playing a second fiddle all the time. But I'll still be the same person. I'll treat myself and respect what I've been doing in training. I'll be working hard after this to make sure that I'll be here in London in April very fit, both mentally and physically.
Tanya, we spoke to you at the start. I'd be remiss of us not to speak to you now at the end.
Hello.
How is your body feeling?
Oh, Radzi, I've got to be honest, it was harder for me this year than it was last year. Weirdly, I think I ran faster this year, and so I was getting more tired. And then I think it was at about mile 9, I was dying for the loo. dying for the loot, and I was really trying to work it through, but I couldn't. I had to stop.
So you didn't go for a Paula?
I did a Paula. I almost did a Paula. But no, I found a toilet just in time before I did.
So you mentioned 2 hours 24. I take it you were a little bit off that.
Yeah, I was a little bit off that, but I don't know what, but definitely better than last year. I think probably by about 10 or 15 minutes. So that was really good. But I'm feeling it.
There is a chance for redemption next month, the London Marathon.
Yes, the London Marathon. Yes, and I hope. I just want to complete that again. Whether I do it faster, I have no idea. I just got to get over the final line.
Can you use this as almost a learning curve to set you up perfectly for it?
Yeah, and I think this is halfway through your training. This is perfect. It's like I had to do 13 miles this weekend. So next weekend is going to be 14 miles. So it's just up and up from now.
Well, Tanya, job done. Box ticked.
Francie.
Next stop, London Marathon. See you then.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
See ya. Thank you.
Well done, Tanya. Doing a Paula. That well-known technical term in marathon running. We shall move on. 11 miles done. Only a couple to go for these hardy souls out on the streets of London still. And it's terrific, isn't it? There's a strange calm, isn't there? So descended on the streets of London here. Still plenty of people milling about, but it's great to see people have stayed behind to cheer these ladies and gentlemen over the finish line.
Yes, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, does it? It's you still deserve the credit of running a half marathon, and hopefully these crowds will stay out there. I'm sure there's many people waiting for their loved ones to finish.
Hashtag Big Half for your social media messages. And of course you can jog, you can walk for a bit, you can pick up again. I must say, based on my experience of running marathons, once you'd got to a certain point, maybe 20 miles plus, and you stop, it's really hard to get going again.
Yes, that's exactly what Tanya Franks talked about. Toilet stops is a big issue for a lot of people, and they kind of, it's a long time to be out there, and having to restart after something like that can be really, really hard. Where do you sit on do you pause your watch?
Oh, I don't think you can pause your watch.
Yeah,
no.
There's the big debate out there. Do you pause your watch? Then you know how long it took you.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what that chip says, but it's a big element of a lot of these people have gone through that in training as well.
Yeah. Well, some terrific performances already today. Just a reminder, Kenenisa Bekele, a new course record in the men's race, coming home ahead of Chris Thompson from Great Britain. A really aggressive, controlled performance from him. And Lily Partridge, terrific, just outside the course record and outside her own personal best in the women's elite race. And Shelley Woods back to winning ways on the streets of London in the women's wheelchair. Brent Lakatos in the men's, just coming ahead of David Weir. But it was good to hear David Weir saying, no panic, I haven't raced for several months since New York, and it's all part of the preparation for London.
Yeah, that's important context. We don't always know that. We just sit here and watch, and kind of like we said, it's unusual to see David Weir getting beaten, but everyone's at different points in their cycle. This is an important year for a lot of these elite athletes. They will be targeting the Olympics or Paralympics in Tokyo later in the year, and I'm sure David Weir's got all of his sights set on that.
He certainly has. Yes, a very, very important year this year, 2020. Tokyo, of course, in the summer, Olympic Games, and the elite athletes, of course, were vying for places, or will be vying for places at the end of April in the London Marathon. GB vests up for grabs there. We've mentioned the World Half Marathon Championships. Good morning, madam. All looking good. It's good to see people smiling, isn't it? Whatever they're doing.
Well, it's super loud down here in front of the stage, but I'm joined by Jess Izzat. She's presenting on the stage today, and she's also a presenter from BBC Radio London and in charge of the BBC Introducing Acts, which you are hearing behind us right now. Jess, just tell us how you pick some of the acts to perform here at the festival.
So basically, BBC Introducing supports the best new music from London, and they get their music to us through the Uploader, which is a website. You go to bbc.co.uk/introducing. They make a profile, and someone from the team will listen to it, and if they like it, it could get played on our show, which is on Saturday night. Every single local BBC has one, and today we got asked to pick a couple for the stage here, and one of them's actually playing now to another, and yeah, we just picked acts that we thought would be good for the park, good for the festival, and ones that that we felt like had a bit of a sort of family vibe and atmosphere, but was still kind of uplifting and obviously good quality because, you know.
But what a platform it is as well for some of the acts to come here and perform at a venue like this.
Yeah, and it's amongst other acts as well, so it's in collaboration obviously with the Big Half, and so we picked some of the music acts, but we've got like dance troupes as well. Casso Massai kicked off the stage, and they're like a sort of Congolese Afrobeat, like, you know, just really uplifting different things, and their community sort of, it's a community festival, and obviously the London acts that we've been supporting on our show, it's just a big platform for them, yeah.
And for you, someone who's involved predominantly in music, what's it like to be at a festival which is predominantly for sport, but kind of incorporating music?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm not a runner, but I do play hockey, so I know what it's like, healthy living, and I feel like, yeah, part of 2020 has been, you know, about healthy living, healthy eating, and then bringing entertainment to merge with that. It's great, isn't it?
You're not a runner, but do you think you might be a runner in the future and maybe come out here and do the Big Half in years to come?
Honestly, I'm absolutely not a runner. I hate running, but I'm very competitive, so maybe in the future. I'm more of a sprinter. I'm not a marathon runner.
Maybe you can do the miles, a mile going around the park a little bit later. But Jess, thank you so much. Go and enjoy the music on the stage. Thank you.
When it comes to legends of Great Britain, they don't come much bigger in every single sense of the word than Frank Bruno. Frank, how was the run today?
It was, my hip went about 8 miles, but I was determined to finish it, and thank God I finished it for the Frank Bruno Foundation and all the people sponsoring and helping the Frank Bruno Foundation.
What's incredible is even as you were coming over the finish line, everybody wants to shake your hand, everybody wants a selfie, and even though you're in pain, you're doing it.
I'm trying, you know, I mean, some people I might have upset because my hip went about 8 miles and I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? I said, what am I doing here? But I had to finish it because I set out to finish it. Some people was being very, very negative around me, saying that I shouldn't have done it and whatever, but I've done it for the Frank Bruno Foundation, and I'm pretty pleased with myself, so.
Well, you're doing this for something bigger than yourself, essentially, and something that obviously is very close to your heart.
Very, very close to my heart. You don't really know how people are suffering, you know? Women suffer a lot, but men suffer more than women, and they suffer in silence. So all I'm just begging men, if you're going through a mental or whatever you're going through, you know what I mean, talk, and that's 10% or 50% off the battle won, you know what I mean? Get off your head. It's not a shame to admit that you're feeling down and your pressure's getting to you, you know what I mean? That's what I'm asking any man out there, especially women, but women can chat and cry. Men don't cry. Men stack up. They're too brave. The testosterone's there. And just come out, man, and just get it off your plate and just have the battle won.
Do you think you'd have been a different fighter if you were able... I mean, it's a quarter of a century ago that you were WBC World Heavyweight Champion. Do you think you'd have been a different guy if you were able to be more honest with how you felt, or guys currently would be?
I think much more better, because I go to do a lot of speaking here and there, and a lot of men are in pain, and they come to me on the quiet, they cry, and they say, Frank, I can't say it in certain... Because if I say, people will bully me at home, my family will disown me, saying that there's a nutter in the family, and there's a lot of pressure being put on a lot of people, you know what I mean? People are in pain out there, man, and men don't talk, you know what I mean? Because it's against their rule as a man to come out and saying I feel down, I can't cope and whatever. So I'm not making joke about this. It's very, 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 very serious, you know? There's men out there suffering and trying to be men and stand up tall. No, I can handle it. Nothing is going to disturb me. But it's not a bad thing to just come out and say I'm under pressure. I can't cope. You know what I mean? Things are getting on top of me, and that's half the battle won, you know?
Well, it's incredible that you're speaking about it. Actually, another man who's also speaking about it is the current WBC heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
He's been through an incredible journey.
Praise him. What he's done, and people criticise him because he's a gypsy, criticise him because he put on all that weight and whatever, but he can prove to people that if he can do it, anybody can do it. If you keep your mind strong, keep your healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body, you know what I mean? And if you put your mind to it, you can do anything you want to do. You can't fly like Superman, you can't fly like Spider-Man, but you can get over and you can recover from anything if you put your mind to it, you know?
People talk a lot about the mental health side of things, certainly in the last few years, but not so much the physical health to go alongside it.
Yeah.
How has it helped you personally staying in shape, which you clearly are?
It's important. If I didn't have Champ Leagues, I didn't know what I would do. If I didn't have Anytime Fitness 4 minutes from my house, and to get there and to invest in a little bit of running machine in my house and just keep it real. Sometimes you just got to run, you got to look after yourself, get the endorphins in you and build yourself up and feel proud of yourself, you know? I mean, sometimes when you go for mental health, you get lazy, you don't want to get out of bed, you get lethargic, you're not communicating with the people around you. So it's just give me a little tip, man. Just look after yourself, because we're only here once on this earth. We're here on borrowed time. So the good time that you got, just try and enjoy it, you know?
Right, it's an absolute honour to speak to you, if I'm being totally honest. Just finally, will you be at the London Marathon potentially?
I don't think I'm that kinky, boss. I'll be on the London Marathon on a 250 Yamaha or Mercedes Sports or a Bentley convertible, but I ain't going that far because I'm too big to run. You know, I mean, 30 miles is just my pace, but London Marathon, man, you got to be super fit. But I retire. I need counselling.
This is the last time.
I need counselling every time you talk about the London Marathon, man. There's pressure. You know, I need counselling. So I leave it up to you youngsters. You know,
I wish I was a youngster, Frank.
You are a youngster, man. I'm just jealous of your hair. Hello, sir. Respect, boss. Cheers. I'm jealous of your hair, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm jealous of the rest of you.
No
So,
problem.
Frank,
Respect, sir. Cheers.
pleasure.
Thank you. Respect,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
And everybody, hello. Good morning or good afternoon. Sorry? Cheers, sir. Thank you.
My daughter, 12-year-old, should not forgive me if I don't have a son with you.
How do we follow that, Hannah? Kinky running. Discuss.
Pass. No, Frank Bruno's a great character, isn't he?
He's absolutely outstanding. He's given a couple of really thought-provoking interviews today, and in the meantime, he's run a half marathon in between. So well done, Frank. We'd love to see you at the London Marathon at the end of April. And still they come. We've got good numbers coming over the finish line still. Further back, one or two stragglers, but they will make it. Don't you bet against it. The litter pickers, it's never a good feeling, is it, when you look behind you and there's somebody picking up litter behind you. But hey, we will wait for everybody. Mark my words.
Stick with it. They'll come to you in a minute. I'll give you some.
Well, that's a pretty eye-catching yet functional fancy dress costume. That's what I'd look for in a fancy dress. You want to make an impact, but not impact your running. But they look like they're having great fun.
They are indeed. Yeah, terrific. Plenty of tutus out on the course. That looks around streets of Bermondsey, I would say, at best. There we are at the finish. Taking it leisurely, they've just crossed the line.
Oh, so yeah, they said there could be a few sore feet, and that lady looks like she's done well to finish there. And that will be the show, and there will be a lot of runners out there that have maybe something they've had in training anyway they've aggravated or exasperated today. So hopefully we can get as many finishers as possible.
Yeah, 15,000 people, or there or thereabouts, taking part across the various events today. We've got the big mile starting in just under half an hour's time in Greenwich Park. There's the festival as well, as we've heard from Rachel, and all the while the big half, the centrepiece, if you like, of this festival of running, which started just over 3 hours ago, is still producing a heavy crop of finishers here.
I think, and hopefully these guys will have at least a little bit of energy left to enjoy the rest of their afternoon.
Absolutely right. And of course, for those who want it, a free pint is being offered by one or two of the pubs in the Greenwich area. So that's, if that's your tipple, it's a nice way to unwind, get a bit of food in Greenwich Park, and just enjoy the rest of the day. And we can't state enough how the weather has played a massive part in this morning today. After a couple of years of really wretched weather, it's calm. We've had winter sunshine. It's not warm by any means. Need to be wrapped up, but at least it's dry, and the driving rain has stayed away.
Well, I'm with Kenneth Foreman now, Head of Charities at London Marathon Events. Kenneth, firstly, just give us a bit of an overview of your role and how important it is.
Yeah, so I'm really lucky to work with thousands of charities, actually, in my role at London Marathon Events. We work with charities right across the spectrum, from very small charities that are maybe one or two people, volunteer-led, right through to some of the big-name charities that we all know and understand.
And how many do you think you've kind of got taking part or got involved this morning for this event?
So we've got over 100 charities that are involved in the Vitality Big Half. Absolutely amazing to see out on the course, all of the different vests, all of the people really enjoying taking part and raising money for good causes, so it's brilliant.
And if there are a few, if you could pick out one in particular that's maybe caught your attention, that you've really liked what they're about, what would that be?
Yeah, it's so difficult. You're putting me on the spot. There's some great charities, as you can see behind us. I think one of the charities that we've been working really closely with this year is the Felix Project. And the Felix Project provides surplus food or takes surplus food from food vendors, from manufacturers, from outlets, and deliver it to more than 300 charities across London and the boroughs. So, you know, I think I've got a bit of an eye on them, and I'll be speaking to them later. So it's really great to see them all here.
I think you can probably say as well, the charities, they kind of give it an extra buzz about it as well. You always see them around the course, don't you, cheering their competitors on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the charities bring so much energy and enthusiasm to the course, and, you know, they don't just cheer on their runners, they cheer on everybody. So, you know, we've probably seen here today, we've seen people out on Tower Bridge with their flags cheering people on. It's just really great, and it just adds to the whole atmosphere and environment. And I think one of the important things about the Vitality Big Half is that it really represents the diversity of London. And so the charities really help us do that.
I guess the charities, also make you part of a family, and that's what this event is about as well, the family and the community feel.
Yeah, I'm actually heading over to the big mile later on, where we'll be having lots of children taking part. So yeah, the charities just really add to that, and so it's great to see people outside, you know, enjoying the sunshine, which we've got today, and hopefully raising lots of money for lots of good causes.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope lots of money is raised, and thank you very much for talking to us.
No problem, thank you.
Still they come, of course. 1 mile to go, just over for this bunch of runners. And what have we got there? The three-hour pacemaker there. A bit further for these guys to go. Volunteers, a quick word, Hannah, from you on volunteers, without whom, of course, events like this wouldn't be possible.
I think it's just so wonderful. You have got all these runners getting to be a part of something bigger, but it's only made possible by loads of volunteers, and it's just fantastic to see really enthusiastic volunteers getting something out of it as well, giving something back and getting something out of it. And that's just another side of sport that it's easy to forget about, and a lot of people won't realise there's a lot of volunteers behind the elite part of sport as well. If we go to, we'll be going to the Olympic trials in the summer for the track and field athletes, and it's largely supported by volunteers, and it wouldn't happen without them. So actually they're a massive part of all kinds of sport in our country that they're just brilliant guys.
Yeah, here. Many people have been working overnight throughout the night to make sure the course is in pristine condition, safe of course as well, putting out barriers, making sure that everything is in tip-top condition, ready for the off this morning. 500 metres to go, so nearly there, you two. Couple of cyclists out there just taking the easy route. The big mile, by the way, will be kicking off at 12:30 in Greenwich Park. Well, that feeling of almost having made it will be absolutely wonderful for these runners. We stress again, many of these people are pushing themselves further and harder than they've ever done before. 13.1 miles, 21 and a bit kilometres. It's a long way. These runners just coming into Greenwich, and they're almost there. Cutty Sark will loom into view any minute now for these runners. So they're almost home.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by the Emancipated Run Crew. Should we go again? The Emancipated Run Crew, make some noise! That's what I'm talking about. Jules, who do we have here?
We have my sister Patrina, we have Trojan, we have Geraldine, we have Gerard, we have my other sister Dee, and we are the Emancipated Run Crew, along with a lot of other runners who, some of them didn't get to run with us today, some of them are finishing, so yeah, there's a team of us out celebrating.
Your film is absolutely fantastic, by the way, but I'll come to you next and just ask, for anyone that missed the film, what is the Emancipated Run Crew all about?
Sorry.
This is what happens when you run a half marathon, by the way. You can't think logically.
We are a group of ethnic minority men and women who love running, and we're just bringing ourselves together, and just anyone who feels like they can't run, just a bit of encouragement. So that's a small snippet of what we are.
Thank you. And have you ever run anything like this before? This is the longest distance you've gone?
I've run a marathon before. I've done the Paris one last year, and I'm training for the London Marathon this year.
So you're going to go bigger and better next month?
Of course, we always go bigger and better in our team, yes.
And do you guys run as a group or do you run individually? How does that work?
Well, we're kind of a virtual group, so everybody tends to run individually. We're from North and South London and all around, and people log their training runs. So there's often selfies in the group saying, I did this distance, that distance. So although we don't physically always train together, we all encourage each other, and some people do get together and do part runs too.
I guess there's power in that because it means whilst you're training on your own, you're doing it as a part of a collective.
Yeah, definitely. It's about motivating yourself. It's about mind over matter. It's about tuning into others within the group, supporting those individuals, but also reaching out to the wider people, the wider group of individuals that might be following us, trying to get an idea of how to get into it. And by us being around, wearing our T-shirt, the Emancipated Run Crew, as you can see, that's the only way you can find us.
And just finally, what does it mean to you? Because I can see you're beaming with pride right now.
Yeah. I'm so ecstatic. I'm happy that we're here as a group, as a family. We're here to champion each other and ourselves, and in fact other running crews that are out there, and bringing representation to running. It's really important. So yeah, I'm pleased.
I thought the perfect personification was when we chatted at the very, very start, you said you wanted London to be reflected in events like this, which is exactly what you've done. So with that in mind, one final time, Emancipated Run Crew, make some noise!
So Ben Cooper over here from London Marathon, he looks after the Daily Mile. We'll talk about that in a second. And we have the Malik family over here who are going to take part in the Big Mile in a bit. Guys, I'll talk to you shortly. But Ben, firstly, Daily Mile, what is it?
So the Daily Mile is something really, really simple that we want all primary schools in London to do. It's to encourage children to get outside and to do 15 minutes jogging or running at their own pace during the school day. And we think it's really important because we know it helps children stay fit and healthy. It means that they have really good mental health and well-being. And we also know that it helps them back in the classroom. It helps them to concentrate and focus on their learning.
And how many schools kind of take part in this throughout the country so far?
So we've got lots and lots of schools. Worldwide, there's 10,000 schools who are signed up to doing the Daily Mile. And in London alone, we've got 800 primary schools doing the Daily Mile. And we're hoping to make it bigger and bigger and bigger because it makes such a big difference to the children.
Well, let's talk to one of these children. Anaya down here, she takes part in the Daily Mile every single day at her school. Isn't that right? And what school do you go to, Anaya?
Roger Asham Primary School.
And tell us about this Daily Mile. So you run for 15 minutes every single day. Isn't that quite tough?
No.
No? Are you pretty fit?
Yes.
How fun is it taking part in the Daily Mile at school? And do all your friends get involved? Tell me about it.
Everyone in our whole school gets involved and we all run together at different timings, so then it won't get too crowded and it's really fun.
Oh, and do you have big aspirations to be maybe a runner when you're older?
Yes.
What distances do you like the most?
Long distances.
Long distances. And you're taking part in this big mile today with all your family and your sisters. Who's the most competitive?
Me.
Guys, what do you have to say about that? Do you think Anaya's going to beat you today?
No.
Are you fast as well?
Yes.
And Dad, just to, I guess, explain what you think the Daily Mile has done, for especially Anaya and your daughters taking part.
Inaya has learnt a lot. She does every day. I have to wake up early in the morning, take her to school, and then she runs. It's hard. It's tough for us, but she's enjoying it, and it's good luck for her.
Have you seen any changes in her since she's kind of started implementing that in her day?
Yes, she has, because she's become more fit, she's stronger, and she's got the more ability to do everything what she wants to do now. She can achieve it.
And I guess who decided they were going to do this big mile today? Who was the instigator amongst the family?
The mother. She's the one who signed us up all, and now we're going to do it.
Well,
running, and I thought she needs a fair chance to show her ability.
Well, there we have it. The Malik family, and Naya especially, watch these guys because they are going to take part in the big mile, taking part a little bit later, and they're a little bit competitive over here.
Yes, competitive family.
Yeah, 15 minutes to go. What a great family story that is, Hannah. The Daily Mile didn't exist when you and I were at school.
No, it's a fantastic concept, and I talked about it and earlier in the show, but just breaking down those barriers that running, anyone can run, and it's, we all run as children. We all have that ability, and at some point along the way, for some people, they lose track of that. So I absolutely love the idea of the Daily Mile, just having something there in school every day, and then just seeing your team, your classmates do it, or the people in the year above, the people the year below, and just normalising it. I run an athletics club for little kids, and it's just some of them turn up and they're daunted by running a lap around the track. You do it in baby steps. You say, go on, you can do it, and before you know it, they're stringing those laps together and they can just do it. And you just want people to think it's achievable and think it's normal to be fit and to be healthy.
And once it does, it's incredibly habit forming, isn't it? Once you've done it for a while, it becomes almost odd not to do it.
Exactly, and I think that's sometimes, people talk about the mental health benefits of exercise, and I'm incredibly fortunate to have been a professional athlete and have a lot of physical activity in my life, and it's only been in those periods of injury or illness where that physical activity has been taken away from me, and suddenly you're like, whoa, I see what people mean. I see how much that positivity and energy I get. It sounds counterproductive. The more you run, the more you do sport, the more energy you have. But it really is true. I would feel incredibly lethargic and a lot less happy without it.
Yeah, we referred to it earlier on as an addiction, a legal addiction, and it's certainly not overstating matters there. 3¼ hours on the clock there, still finishers coming over the line. Yeah, you do miss it. It may take one or two people a little bit of time to find running and to get used to doing, just to get into the habit of doing daily exercise, and starting young at school with the Daily Mile and other initiatives like that, absolutely vital. And hopefully that's the sort of breeding ground really to get runners captured early on and then help them on their way for a career in running at whatever level.
No, absolutely, and there's great initiatives. There's actually a junior park run on a Sunday, so there is a mainstream one on a Saturday is 5K, and there's actually a lot of parks in the country also run a junior one that's only 2K, and that's fantastic. If your school's doing the junior mile, and then you could then have an option on a Sunday to go and do something else. I think there's lots of options out there, and I think we're really lucky at the moment.
Park run has been very, very popular indeed. It's free of charge. If you're not familiar with it, it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, pretty much wherever you are in the country, and now in 40 different countries, I think, worldwide.
Yes, you can do it on holiday. You don't even get a holiday from park run nowadays. But I think we've said it before. It's a great bridges the gap between figuring out how you want to start running and how you want to get involved in events like this. This would seem totally impossible to some people, but there's loads of milestones around the country that can help you get here. And I think it's great when we have these interviews of people coming over the line, and you can see and hear that euphoria and that you want a bit of that. You want to be they're high as a kite right now, and they're so proud of themselves. And I think hopefully that can inspire some people to have a go as well.
Well, from one broadcaster to another, Lucy, you've crossed the finish line of the half marathon and you're smiling.
I am. I'm always smiling. Even when I was not smiling inside, I was smiling.
How tough did it get?
It got really tough, actually, which I hesitate to say because I'm doing the London Marathon on the 26th of April. So if I ask myself, would I like to do that again? The answer right now is no, I wouldn't.
So is this the first time you've done anything like this with this sort of that objective in mind?
No, I did the London Marathon in 2014, but 5 years is a long time when you get past a certain age. So I wanted to see if I could do it again.
So 5 years past your 21st birthday,
exactly.
And you're going again?
Exactly, yes, I like you, yes.
In terms of your training, how's that gone?
My training's going really well because I work with a guy called Liam, who's a brilliant trainer. And I thought this time I'm going to work with someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay.
Whereas last time I didn't know what I was doing. Yes.
So we've learnt the hard way.
Yes.
And in terms of the feeling that you get as a result of training, how it changes how you look, how it changes how you feel, have you had that yourself?
Yeah, it really, really helps, I think. It really, just gives me a little bit of a spring in my step over the winter, because I find the winter very long in this country.
Although...
I know, today everyone's saying it was really hot because there's not much shade around Canary Wharf, and the sun was I loved it, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, I mean, training, who knew that it is all about training? Who knew?
We should tell Mo Farah this. It's what's holding him back.
I mean, this time I've got a sports watch. I'm like, you know, doing things like timing, like mile by mile. Whereas the first time I did it, I just used to guess.
So there's sports science basically behind this now. Yeah. But what about the music and the bands and the DJs? How was that?
I had a nightmare because at the start today, I realised that I had forgotten the bit that makes my earphones fit in my phone. Oh, no. And I train with music. So I had no music at the start of today, and the drums and the music going round were amazing. But if it wasn't for the drum bands, I would not be here now. So thank you if you were out playing the drums today, because you saved me.
So good news and bad news. The good news is you're never going to forget that little jack that goes into your headphones. The bad news is in just over a month's time, double the distance, but with music.
I know, but now I don't ever want the music because I enjoy the atmosphere so much. I think actually I might just never have music again.
So thank you to your headphones. Also thank you to every single person who kept Lucy going, because without, we wouldn't be in this interview. Lucy, well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Well done to Lucy Siegel. That's a terrific effort, and what a charmer he is, Radzi. 21 plus 5 equals 26 years old. Goodness me. Well, Hannah, we talked at the top of the programme about your terrific performance in Daegu in 2011, 1500-metre world silver medalist. Let's bring us up to date. 1500 metres, your event. Laura Muir, Gemma Reekie, the event's in good hands.
It is in fantastic hands, and it's just what you want to see going into an Olympic year. I think one of the best things we've got on the male middle distance side as well is just more people than spots available. What people aren't always aware of, we can send three individuals to the Olympics in each of the track and field disciplines and the marathon as well on the road. But just when you can have more people than spots, suddenly that's what pushes us forward on the world level. And we've had that. We've been sort of knocking on the door of having that throughout my career, from sort of from 2008, 2009, having more people than spots. But in the women's 1500, that's exactly what we've got now. You've probably got 10 girls that could run the Olympic qualifying time, but we can only take 3. And just say you've got the likes of Gemma Reekie running records at the indoor, British indoor records, and breaking Laura Muir, her training partner's records, when you really put Laura Muir right up there at the pinnacle of British middle distance female running at the moment. But to have her beaten by her own training partner, it's just fantastic, and I think I'm excited to see how those two can push each other on, and just how the rest of Britain can just follow them through as well.
Yes, the event is in terrific hands. Let's bring it right up to date. The big mile starts in just 10 minutes' time, and Rachel is already over there at the start.
So I've come down to the start of the big mile, and I've got a runner down here right at the front of the start line. Why have you decided to run the big mile today?
My mum wanted to run, and she asked me if I would like to come as well. I said yes because my mum said there were medals at the end.
Nice, so you're all about the medals today. Have you done anything like this before?
Yes, I did the Westminster Mile.
And how did you get on in that event?
I finished it, and I can't remember the exact time, but I beat my mum.
You obviously enjoyed it enough to come back. What do you like about running?
Well, I play football, and running is one of the key parts in football. So I think I enjoy that running can be in any sport.
Amazing. Well, good luck in this event today. I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Brilliant. Thank you.
We'll be back there very, very shortly, but in the meantime, what are we approaching 3.5 hours on the clock since 9 o'clock this morning? And isn't it good to see people still with the energy to be putting one foot in front of the other and still jogging?
And still crack a smile and a wave. I think a lot of these people, we've said this all day, but this finishing straight here, that they're going to be feeling very, very relieved and pleased to see that finishing gantry and get to pass under that and get on with the rest of the day and try and fathom going back to work tomorrow, I imagine.
And well done to these guys and gals for staying there. It's not a warm day today. The sun is shining, but don't be fooled. It is actually pretty chilly out there today, but well done for all the support. And it does make a difference to those people running.
Must be a family down here, all doing the mile today. Who decided this was a good idea. In the windy weather, it's pretty cold, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that Mum?
Yeah.
Is that Mum? Did Mum force you all to do it today?
Yeah.
But are you guys excited to take part? And a family event as well?
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to doing out on the course today?
Well, I just really enjoy running, and I just enjoying to run.
How cool do you think it will be that you're doing it with a family, though?
I think it's quite cool because then we all get to like run together, and we can all see if we can beat each other. And
that was my question. Are you all very competitive as a family?
Yes, we are, and we have run lots of races together, and we've run, my husband and I, but I think Hope's going to run off and try and beat her time. She's going to run off and leave us, so Mum and Dad will just stay behind with the little ones.
What do you make of events like this when the whole family can run together?
It's really good. My husband and I have run marathons, so it's quite important and they've stood on the side and cheered us on, so it's time for them to get involved, so it's nice to do something with them.
Awesome, guys. Well, come on, kids. You've got to beat the adults, haven't you?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Do you know, there's nothing like a bit of competition within the family to get people fired up, is there?
No, absolutely. That sounds like a really nice family day out, and it's so great to see organisers nowadays tagging events on like that. You know, just having a half marathon that's not really particularly inclusive for everybody, and just to have that option that you can make a whole family day out of it is just really helping our sport grow.
Well done, Arno. You're nearly there. And just a word on competition. For people who say, oh, I don't run, it's not for me. You talked about that earlier on. What about people who say, I'm not competitive, that's why I don't do it?
And that's okay. I think you can get a whole lot out of just doing it, and you don't have to really care about a time or whether you beat people. I think running really is a sport that can cater for everybody. And one of the young women we had there getting interviewed by Rachel sort of said, oh, she loved how running was in other sports, and I think that's great as well. You know, you might play netball, I don't know, with your work team or something like that, and running and fitness can still help some other part of your life that you like. It doesn't have to just be about a time and beating people and stuff like that.
An international race, South Africa represented there, and not all about British runners. And it's starting to build an international following, this, and it's a terrific way, as is the case for so many people, of building towards the London Marathon and indeed other marathons in the spring season. Boston coming up, and London on the 26th of April. Don't forget, that's exactly 8 weeks to go today, and many of these people will be using this big half as preparation for that big event at the end of April.
Yeah, and I hope there's a few people that walk away today and decide to up a distance. Maybe it won't be in 8 weeks, maybe it'll be in 8 months or something like that, but they will walk away from this and go, they want a little bit more.
Working life is out in the cold, and what percentage of it is it really?
I got back from Nottingham. I was at the City Ground yesterday. So behind me, you can see the lineup for the start of the big Vitality Mile. This is a 1 mile running event around the perimeter of Greenwich Park, and it really is a family fun event. 1,800 people registered to be a part of this free running event, and you can see that there are loads of families behind me because it's kind of an event for everybody of all ages and abilities. Mums and daughters, dads and daughters, families can all run together, and it might be some of their first ever running experience here as well. And it's kind of, I guess, a chance for them to just have a go at running and see if they enjoy it. They can walk, they can run, they can jog. It's just a chance to enjoy running and be a part of a great event like the Vitality Big Half, and this is the Big Mile itself. And I've chatted to a few of them, and they're so excited to compete against their family. You can hear it now. 7 seconds to the start of this Big Mile. It's such a great initiative for anybody to kind of get the running bug, and they're off. Here they go. Such an awesome event for all ages.
Well, away they go. 1,800
you can
people.
See the smiles on the faces. Look, the granddad there.
A mile
round
round Greenwich Park.
You got even some little kids
it's
dressed
not the 13.1 of the big half, but believe you me, there are some really young runners here, Hannah, today. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal, running a mile.
Yeah, and I think it's a lovely. It just sounds great, doesn't it? Gonna run a mile. Let's hope all these kids can enjoy it. I think some of these ones at the back might be pacing themselves better than some of the ones at the front. It might be a few brutal lessons learned today about how to best pace yourself in a race.
And something we saw and heard from a wonderful family where the competitive spirit was alive and kicking. This is again something that entire families can do all together.
Absolutely, and I hope there's some few kids beating their parents there today.
Well, from the mile to the end of the 13.1 mile, maybe that's the goal to aim for the future for some of these youngsters taking part today. And there's a distance. The distances, of course, all go together to make the festival of running that is the big half over this wonderful weekend.
No, and look at these runners coming in. They look absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure they're very, very proud of themselves. And this would have been, for a lot of these people, this would have been a goal for a long, long time. Yeah, some people can kind of have the idea, down the pub with their mates, they might have the idea, well, I'll enter a half marathon. For other people, it can really be part of a much larger journey to do with getting back to health or just achieving something that really means something to them. So I think we're going to be seeing absolutely everything there today.
And of course, those people who have been training pretty seriously for this will have done so in some pretty foul, wretched weather over the last weeks and months. And so this, in many ways, is a bonus to be putting all that training and preparation together in relatively nice conditions.
Absolutely. I feel like this is the running gods going, cheers, guys. Thanks for committing to this and doing all that training. Here's a lovely day to enjoy it.
Yeah, remember starting training for the London Marathon often for many people starts on around Christmas Day. And some grueling, muddy, wet, windy months ahead, and it all pays off on race day. And this, for many people, just a stepping stone towards that ultimate end goal. But other people, as we heard, plenty of them, this was the end game. This was the ultimate prize. Highlights of the big half on tomorrow at 6:10. We'll show it again on the red button if you've missed the action today.
Well, what better way to finish than to actually finish on Cutty Sark with glorious views of the finish line with a man essentially who's devised this event, the event director, Andrew Smith. So, Andrew. Here's Andrew Smith. Right, yep. We'll go once more, sorry. Oh, we like, fine. In fact, which choice? We'll carry on. Andrew Smith, the event director, how's it been for you?
It's been amazing. It's definitely been a day of records. We think in our mind record weather for us, because we've had Beast from the East a couple of years ago. We had heavy winds last year, so amazing. Over 16,000 finishes. We hope they're going to cross this iconic line. We had an amazing record in the men's race by Kenenisa Bekele, so all round brilliant.
And when you talk about the storm, it's been flirting on being bad weather, but it's been glorious.
It's been glorious, yeah. I mean, we really pay close attention to this. We have a good working relationship with the Met Office. We had up-to-date, very detailed reports. So quite a long way out, we could see that the event was very much going to go ahead, but we kept meeting each day, mitigations in place, making sure safety of participants and staff is paramount, really. So it's been great, and the sun's shining. It's amazing.
And 15,000 runners, it's no mean feat through the heart of London specifically. How much planning goes into it?
We're planning, we've already started the planning for next year already, so it really is a year-round planning thing with the team. It's an amazing amount of effort that goes into it, really.
And not long away now is the big one, the London Marathon. How are plans going for that?
Brilliantly, and we can test a few components of that today, which is great. As you say, it's not easy to logistically move this amount of people around London, so this is a nice warm-up for us at London Marathon events. A couple of months' time, and we'll have double the amount of people, so it really will be a sight to behold.
What do we not know about what goes into this? Because there are so many people, if you like, behind the camera, behind the scenes, putting it all together that you otherwise wouldn't know about if you came here at 2 in the morning, for example.
Yeah. It's probably the contractors, to be fair. All the infrastructure that goes out here. We have hundreds of contractors that work on this event, and we have staff that oversee the overlay. A guy called Joe oversaw this particular area, did a fantastic job with his team, and there's then a whole host of volunteers. Again, hundreds of volunteers that come in. And they've been ground assigned since 4 a.m. in the morning, and thankfully it's been amazing weather for them.
Is there a sense of responsibility in that so many people are actually changing their own lives and changing lives of people around them just by running and having something to aim for, whether it is crossing the line or getting a personal best?
Absolutely, and that's at the very heart of this event. You know, the very heart of this event is, you know, really trying to make a difference in society. You know, we very much go into the communities. We have over 6,000 people taking part from community groups. So that's schools, that's sporting organisations, that's youth clubs, and it's absolutely amazing that they come together on this day. And, you know, it really is inspiring that we can inspire activity for all demographics in society.
And so I guess it's a case of job well done again.
We hope so, yeah. The team have done an absolutely amazing job, and at London Marathon events we're immensely proud of everyone that's come out today and really made this happen. And I think in sort of about 10 minutes' time we'll start to see the little half participants coming across that line, and the big mile has just started in the festival site. So a really amazing day, a day for everyone, really.
And for anyone else who wants to get involved perhaps in marathons in the future, what should they do?
I think they should, you know, come onto our website. We've got a whole host of events coming up. We've got Vitality Mile at the end of May. We've got 10K. So we've got something for everyone. We've got a Daily Mile campaign that we very much work with within the community. So we've got a whole host. So I would go onto our website and you can very much look at our events that we've got coming up. There's something for everyone. That's the point.
Thank you so much for your time. I can tell from the smile on your face you've enjoyed yourself today and we've enjoyed having you.
Yeah, thanks, Radzi. It's been brilliant.
Well, I think it's safe to say.
Terrific effort from Andrew Smith and his team. 400 metres to go in the big mile around Greenwich Park. And a little bit of welcome downhill here, Hannah.
Yes, I'm sure they're enjoying that. And I really hope this is a bridging event for some of these guys who sort of, I want to be involved, but I don't think I'm ready for a half marathon. The chance to come and run something really, really accessible like a mile, yet whether we've got the little kids or whether we've got some older people having a go, just looks like they're having a lot of fun. Well, that guy does. It's like a storming finish.
Absolutely storming finish. Yeah, threatening your records there. Brilliant. Yes, no, absolutely something for everybody. Seeds being sown here, you think, for the future.
Absolutely. I think it's just getting people involved. It's a positive reinforcement. If these guys can walk away from this event to walk away today and go, what am I doing next? What's my next running challenge? And that's what you want. You want people just looking forward.
Yeah, the Westminster Mile coming up as well. There are plenty of 5Ks and 10Ks around. And of course, 10Ks, 10 milers, then the half marathon, the big half next year. Maybe that could be a date for the calendar. And of course, the ultimate, the London Marathon, very much the jewel in the crown, celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. That's in exactly 8 weeks' time. Well, it's been a great day today. Just to remind you of the results in the elite race. Kenenisa Big Haley with a course record in the men's race, a sterling performance from Chris Thompson as well, just behind him in second place. Lily Partridge winning the women's race earlier today, looking very, very good after all that warm weather training. Steph Reed also with a great run. Shelley Woods in the women's wheelchair race, excellent performance from her today. And David Weir having to settle for second place in the men's wheelchair race. Brent Lakatos coming through to win there. Hannah, we're going to hand back to Radzi very shortly. A final thought from you.
It's been a great day. I'd love to see everyone from Olympic champions like Kenenisa Bikili and David Weir down to these little kids now having fun doing this mile.
We're almost done. The Vitality Big Mile is still underway and they'll be finishing very, very shortly. It's goodbye from Greenwich Park. It's over to you, Radzi.
Well, the final trickle of runners make their way to the finish line. 13.1 miles, well done indeed. And as we sort of find out from the stories of the people here, people run for so many reasons. And of course, we congratulate the elites, the wheelchair racers and the actual elite runners themselves. But we hope you've enjoyed every single minute and we'll be back with you very shortly.
Coiled springs waiting to be unleashed on the streets of London. Lily Partridge here, storming to victory. Kenenisa Bikili is going to smash the course record today. A big performance from a big athlete here.